A martini, shaken, not stirred.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Houston, we have a problem.
I'm the king of the world!
Do or do not. There is no try.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
I'm your #1 fan.
And here we go.
Happy Monday, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. As always, I am joined here alongside with Ed.
Hey, how's it going, folks?
Zach.
What's up, guys?
And roundtable discussion, we invite Craig.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
To talk Star Wars The Force Awakens as we are on the road to Rise of Skywalker. Guys, how's everybody been doing?
I've been doing pretty good, man. Pretty good. Yourself?
Good. Zach?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Johnny, we did a couple of recent watches this weekend, so we're going to be talking about that.
Lot to watch, lot to talk about. Craig, are you excited to dig into probably one of your favorite movies?
Yeah, just decided to come back for Star Wars after doing, I think my last one was
Endgame
or Infinity War?
It was either Infinity War or Age of Ultron, one of them two.
It was Infinity War.
Yeah. So, this is going to be a pretty lengthy, nice episode. Guys, we are talking The Force Awakens, which is probably, in recent memory, one of the biggest films outside the MCU that I can remember. But before we get into the movie, let's tell everybody that we have social media. We are giving away Disney Plus 3-month subscription for the podcast. That's the grand prize. Second prize is going to be a $25 gift card to the Disney Store. So you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/moviereels405. The Instagram is just one word, Cine-Men Movie Podcast, or follow us on the Twitter at Cine-Men405. The Facebook page is facebook.com/moviereels405. But let's get into something over the weekend. Anybody see anything recently that's been pretty good?
Actually, I checked out Crawl.
Oh, yeah?
It wasn't bad. Just a bit of a slow movie. A little bit slow. Not as high energy and high impact that they kind of made it seem in the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
But the promotion was great. The movie was good. Just a little slower than what I thought it was gonna be. So.
But it's only an hour and 30 minutes. So, which is good.
No, I'm saying it's good. Just I thought it would be more like
bloody and disgusting.
Kinda, yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought it was going to be like more of a piranha kind of shit.
Yeah. Both of you have told me, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Last week you guys told me about The Lord of the Rings and The Maze Runner. Since I had some time to myself, I went ahead and checked out The Maze Runner. And that wasn't too bad, but you can definitely tell that it was one of those movies that, I don't know, maybe it was around that time when The Hunger Games was being pushed out, and, the Divergent series was being pushed out. But that was the first time I've ever seen The Maze Runner, and I liked it. It wasn't like, I think it was maybe a little too long. It was almost like 2 hours long.
Oh, the second one's like 2:30.
Oh, God.
And there was a lot more they could have put in there from the book. But,
no.
Yeah. Book to movie adaptations, there's a lot that they put in there.
Unfortunately, though, for The Lord of the Rings, I watched the extended versions, and those things were like 9 hours long. But
they're incredible. Just go ahead and say it.
They're okay.
No.
I enjoyed
Stop right there.
I enjoyed the Fellowship of the Ring, but everybody was telling me the Two Towers isn't as good as the other two, but I enjoyed the Two Towers more than I did the Fellowship.
I was about to say, Two Towers is kind of, I think, a game changer in a way with those three. But
I like the Two Towers. It's just the last 30-40 minutes is the best part of the movie, the Helm's Deep battle. So
yeah. We'll talk some more recent watches. Craig, have you seen anything over the weekend you want to talk about?
I recently watched Maleficent. First time seeing that, the first one, not the second one. And I got about halfway into the live adaptation of Lion King.
a movie you guys both enjoy.
Hey.
It was good for a live adaptation, but it's not the original.
That's true. I'll go off of what you said. I did rewatch Maleficent, the first one this weekend. I forgot how good that movie is. Like,
it's really good. Yeah, I like it.
It wasn't. I don't know. In that rewatch, I was expecting like a 2-hour dragged out movie, but it was only like an hour and 27 minutes, and I think it went by pretty fast. It was pretty good. I read mixed reviews about the new one, but I'll probably wait until that one comes out to sit at home and watch it. I have a lot more recent watches to talk about, but Zach, I think mine will go into some of yours. We went and checked out Terminator.
Yes, we did.
I enjoyed it.
Have you thought about it a little bit more since we saw it?
I've thought about it just a little bit more, and I still like it, but it's scheduled to lose $150 million.
Yeah. I think people are
not
kind of
not
done.
Good news.
I think people are done with Terminator. Even the fact that we brought back Linda Hamilton, which she was totally kick-ass in, without a doubt.
She looked old as dirt, but
she did. But I mean, would you ended up? You gave it a 7.
I gave it a 7, but
I'm about where I'm at. With you.
But for me, it's one of those movies that I saw a lot of people complaining about how can this really work and how can that really work.
All right.
At the end of it, it's a Terminator movie. You're not going for good acting. You're not going for Oscar-winning performances. You're not going for, you're going to see Arnold Schwarzenegger kick ass as a robot.
And you get that.
Yeah. So I think people need to just slow the brakes down and just don't compare it to like something you would see come March or April during Oscar season.
Well, and I think when we were on the way back home, we were talking about the other films. We both agree it's better than Genesis, it's better than Rise of the Machines, and I put it above Salvation. Are you about where I'm at, or did you like it? Did you like Salvation better?
I like Salvation a lot, but I would say that they're probably equally the same.
Same. Okay. And then we checked out another movie on Sunday. This one is probably not going to be probably more for the film fans, like cinephiles. The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe, directed by Robert Eggers. Oh, incredible film!
Yeah, that one's really good. I highly recommend that one. But like I said, it's not for everybody. It's slow, but if you enjoy movies like The Witch.
Did you see The Witch, Craig?
Not that I can.
What about you, Ed?
Off the top of my head.
You talked about which one are you talking about?
The Witch is like about this I guess pilgrim family that moves out like in the middle of the woods, and they're being haunted by this like spirit witch type thing.
Not that one, no.
Okay. I think The Lighthouse is better than The Witch. It's just incredibly shot. And I listened to an interview with William Dafoe, Johnny, and everything that we saw in that movie was built from hands. Like it was all set design and everything. So it wasn't like they didn't go film like a real lighthouse or anything. It was all made from scratch. The aspect ratio, it's shot in black and white. It's just, I think the only thing I talked about this with you, is just like the language of the film is like sailors like in the 1800s. So that's gonna mess with people.
Willem Dafoe, yeah, I think he should be. Thinking back at it now, I think he should be more nominated than Robert Pattinson. But I really think Robert Pattinson was like. The more movies I see Robert Pattinson do stuff like this,
I think his Batman's gonna.
He'll be fine. Yeah, he'll be fine.
So. And then I'm on the final 8 episodes of Breaking Bad. So next week we'll talk El Camino.
Oh my God!
I promise,
dude.
El
Camino, that's old
like
news now.
5 weeks old.
Nobody's worried about El Camino.
I know.
What about you, Craig? Have you checked anything, any recent thing out besides Maleficent, or is there anything you're looking forward to go see in the theater coming up?
Frozen 2 with my niece.
Frozen 2.
Or my cousin, yeah.
That people are saying that could easily sneak in and make Disney another $1 billion this year.
Oh, it will.
Even though it's only got like a month and a half to do it.
Yeah, but right before Star Wars. Yeah. Well, I mean, like the thing is like, whether if you haven't seen Frozen 2 the opening weekend, I mean, Star Wars is going to sell out, so those people that do not get to go see Star Wars will go see Frozen 2. And so they're both, I would think, both kid-friendly films, so, one will make $2 billion, the other one will make $1 billion, so.
I think Frozen's coming in at a good time. You're getting it during a holiday weekend, Thanksgiving. A lot of families are going to try to find something to do, with relatives from out of town, probably going to have a lot of kids. I And the fact that Frozen, the original, was a really good movie, so I think that's another reason why Frozen 2 will do pretty good.
If that movie makes a billion for Disney, that'll be 7 this calendar year that Disney brought in at least $7 billion for 7 different movies.
Yeah.
That's and then let's talk a little Disney Plus, because we're only a full week and a half, a week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
That we're here launching Disney Plus. Other than The Mandalorian, is anybody else excited for anything else on Disney Plus, or are you just ready for digital movies like Star Wars at the fingertips?
I think it's going to be cool to see like all of Disney's catalog is basically going to be on there, including everything that's coming out on Blu-ray here pretty soon.
Are
all you going to check it out?
Well, I've actually got Verizon, and it's going to be included
get, like,
in
a year free or something.
Yeah.
Don't be giving don't give away any free sponsorships, all right?
No, I know, right? But I'm going to be like checking out a lot of the National Geographic stuff as well. So
oh my
I think
God,
that's pretty cool. What?
Are they going to be streaming stuff in 4K on that?
I think it is going to be 4K. I'm pretty sure Disney. I think you have to pay more to get 4K streamed.
I've only seen two prices. I've seen the bundle and I've seen the regular.
The regular is what, $6.99?
Yeah.
And then the bundle. How much is the bundle, Craig?
$12.99 with Hulu and ESPN Plus.
With ESPN Plus.
Yes.
Wow, that's a pretty good deal. Unless, is it the Hulu with commercials?
It is, but it's limited commercials. It's not like you're getting.
Not bad.
For a bundle price, that's incredible.
Do you think, since they're just pushing it for a year, how much do you think that price will go up after a year? Or do you think they would? Or do you think they would like grandfather you in?
No, I think it's starting out at $6.99. I think it'll jump to like $9.99, like kind of $9.99, $8.99 time price.
They're triple dipping everything they've put in there so far. Re-releases on Cinderella, Lion King, all that stuff. They've made plenty of money off that stuff. So.
Plus, The Simpsons are going to be on there. I'm kind of excited about The Simpsons. Anybody? No?
Yeah, I think that's cool because, they've got 22, 23 seasons now or something like that. Still the longest show running.
Johnny's going to binge watch it the whole
entire
first weekend.
Oh, it still wouldn't. You could spend.
There's no way.
No.
It's
after The Mandalorian.
After The Mandalorian. Yeah.
How many episodes is that?
I don't know, and I'm not sure if they're releasing one a week or if it's all coming out at one time.
I think I talked to Zach about that earlier in the week. What do you guys think? Do you think that these streaming services should release their episodes once a week to keep people from binge watching and then canceling, or do you think they should just release them all at once? Like, for example, Stranger Things, Orange is the New Black. They release the entire season in one day. Somebody could be like, oh, I'm going to do my free 7-day trial and then binge watch Orange is the New Black and then just cancel.
That's true, and like I've been, the Letterkenny show, it does, but that's just like with Hulu. Letterkenny does, but Wu-Tang American Saga, it came out once a week. So
see, Hulu does that, but I don't know if you guys have heard about HBO Max. It's going to be $15 a month, and then it's pretty much Warner Brothers and HBO teaming up together.
Trying to compete. Simple. Yeah. That's going to be the best thing for everyone in that. Honestly.
After all these streaming services, though, if you get everything, it's still going to be about $120 a month.
Well, like last Friday, Apple Plus TV started, and that's like $4.99 a month.
Yep.
But there's only like a select few things, like a couple TV shows, and
I heard it's not good at all.
Really?
No. Right now.
Like Steven Spielberg's supposed to bring back his TV show, and Damien Chazelle's supposed to do a show, and
you know what, though?
M. Night Shyamalan's supposed to do.
I think at the end of the day, does anybody see the? Now let's talk sports for once. Does anybody see Fox or CBS and NBC doing this with like any of the NFL games?
CBS does right now.
With CBS All Access, do you get live football games?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Hulu actually does too.
Well, that's Hulu TV.
Yeah,
YouTube.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing on YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Because I have a cable company, and I tried to do it on the app, and it won't do CBS, so I had to get the app.
Wow.
And I actually did a free trial, and then I had the month charged on after that because I didn't cancel it.
Because I don't think any TV show nowadays still puts up NFL numbers. Like I still think like the NFL's getting like 5, 6, 7, 8.9 million viewers every week. I don't think there's any TV shows that do that weekly right now. I mean, maybe you could probably say, what's the last one that did that? Like, even the Emmys didn't even, barely did 2-3 million people.
Well, I mean, like, you're just talking about TV shows in general, probably Game of Thrones.
But
I mean, not compared to, like, sports numbers, though. I don't think, you know.
I mean, but even then, it's a special service. I mean, you're looking just off of, like, normal cable. Lost.
It's definitely going to be something like how TV shows are going to change in the next 3 to 5 years. So, if anybody else have any other recent watches, I think we're going to go ahead and jump into the top 5.
No, not at the moment. I don't.
What better way to talk about the top 5 dads of cinema than on the Force Awakens episode, where fathers are heavily influenced in this movie. I just have one honorable mention, and I'm going to go ahead and just name it. That's Wolverine from Logan. So that's my one and only honorable mention. We'll go round table. Zach, do you have anybody?
Yeah. I have 2 honorable mentions. Chris Gardner, Will Smith's character in The Pursuit of Happiness. And I think this is just as my honorable mention. I'm pretty sure one of y'all will have it on your top 5. Is Marlin from Finding Nemo. So, did you have any honorable mentions, Ed?
No, not this one. I'm keeping it to 5.
So we'll go ahead and name off Ed. You want to go ahead and name number 5?
You actually took it. This is the only reason I'm putting him at 5 is because he had such a short time with his. But Logan, Wolverine, Logan from Logan. So,
my number 5 is going to be Clark Griswold, played by Chevy Chase from the Vacation movies.
There you go.
Who wouldn't like a dad who plans a yearly vacation, whether it's a theme park or an out of country kind of visit. So that's my number 5 is Clark Griswold. Zach, you got number 5?
Number 5 for me is John Quincy Archibald from John Q. Denzel Washington movie, basically holds up a hospital so his son can get a heart transplant?
Yeah, something like that.
Number 4, I'm going to go ahead and put out Mr. Levinstein from the American Pie series. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of stuff that happened, but he did try and be the moral character of the entire series. So, plus, I think he was one of the few that was in almost all of them.
Yeah, he was even in like the Van Camp movies.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me is going to be Daniel Hillard, played by Robin Williams from Miss Doubtfire. When you go and put some fake boobies on to try to spend some time with your kids, he went above and beyond, and that's my number. I could probably pick a handful more of Robin Williams characters because he was a pretty cool person. So number 4 for me is Robin Williams. Zach, what about you?
Number 4 for me is Mr. Von Trapp from The Sound of Music. Christopher Plummer's character. His character is kind of a hard ass, but I mean, he comes to realize, family is the most important thing, regardless of whatever's going on. So, what's your number 3, Ed?
Number 3, I'm gonna have to go with Adam Sandler's character from Click. I mean, no wrong. Yeah, he went a few different directions, but ultimately, in a couple different mindsets, realized that his family, no matter what, was the most important thing. So, gotta say that one I really liked. Brought a tear to my eye the first couple times I watched it when he died too. So yeah.
Number 3 for me is going to be Master Splinter from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When you adopt 5 little younglings of turtles, and might have been 4, I don't know who's keeping count of them little bastards, but I think that those turtles grew up to be a pretty good role model for a lot of kids. Spent a lot of money on pizza, he did.
Oh yeah.
Zach, what about you?
Number 3 is Brian Mills from Taken. Liam Neeson. I mean, that first film is by far one of the better action films we've had. I mean, say what you will about Taken 2 and 3, but that first Taken movie is solid, and that pretty much shows that dad will do pretty much anything to get their child back.
Although I will say, for your kid to go ahead and get taken a few different times, questionable.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's why it's at number 3 instead of number 1.
Exactly. What's your number 2, Ed?
My number 2, I'm gonna have to go with Boys in the Hood, Jason Furious Styles. You know, a woman can raise a child, of course, but you do have to have the input of a father to basically raise a son into a man. So, you know, brought him up to him and all that. Yeah, there was a lot of shenanigans in that hood, but he grew up fine. So yeah.
Number 2 for me is going to be John McClane, played by Bruce Willis from Die Hard. So when you can go and fuck some people up with no shoes on through all kinds of vents and broken glass, it's a hell of a dad.
Hell yeah.
Number 2 for me is Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. Gregory Peck, Oscar-winning performance. I mean, not only you want to talk about one of the greatest performances, but I mean, just you kind of want to have a dad just like that who, you know, stands up for what's right. But hell, if you have never seen To Kill a Mockingbird, it's an incredible movie. What's your number 1, Ed?
Number 1, this was not put in to number 1 due to recent happenings. John Witherspoon, you know.
I thought you were going to go with Harry Potter's dad.
Unfortunately, Harry Potter didn't truly get to have his dad, so I'm not going to include that. But, you know, a Sirius would have been a good conclusion, I guess, with that. But John Witherspoon's character from Friday, you know, and Friday After Next, and yeah. So, gotta say that one always, morale always goes ahead and teaches his son you need to fight back, get back up, and be a man. You don't have to go out there with a gun. You can do it with your fists, you know.
Always need some air fresheners.
Well,
and some hot sauce.
He taught him this is my house still. You might be living in it, but this is still my kingdom. So, I mean, you know, 35, 45 minutes, you know, hey.
Number 1 for you. Number 1 for me is going to be somebody who in the movie he didn't, you know, biologically have a son or a daughter. But it's Sonny from Big Daddy. Adam Sandler, when you have a kid dropped off on your doorstep and you take that kid in as your own, what a hell of a father.
I was halfway sure that you would. And you did. So,
go check it out, Big Daddy.
Oh, yeah.
Zach?
My number 1 is, technically he wasn't a father to this character, but he was a fatherly figure to him. I'm going to say Rocky from Creed and Creed 2.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, we talk endlessly about Creed, so.
Craig, if you could name one actor or character in a movie to play somebody's dad, who would you pick?
Somebody to play my dad?
No, well, just, you know, a dad in movie general. Who would you pick as a favorite Hollywood dad?
I might say Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Oh,
yeah, there you go.
I thought he was gonna go Tony Stark.
RDJ would be cool, but I mean, Tom Hanks that would be
next level.
Got the you know, next level.
Yeah, Tom Hanks, which is convenient that we're doing a Tom Hanks episode here in a few weeks. So all right, guys, we're talking Star Wars Episode 7. It was, without a doubt, probably until just earlier this year, probably one of the biggest Disney releases of all time. It took, I mean, Episode 6 was in 1982? 1986?
Yeah.
And then you have the prequels. So we're going to talk prequels a little bit later on. But Star Wars Episode 7 debuted December the 18th, 2005 with a $306 million budget, and it grossed a little over $201 billion.
Wait, hold on.
2015.
2015.
2005 is Revenge of the Sith.
Did I say 2005?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Either way.
But yeah, Star Wars Episode 7. Let's ask everybody around table. Craig, since we're all cottonmouth from our top 5, let's go ahead and ask you the first time you watched this movie. What did you think? And then what did you think about the rewatch for this episode?
So first time I watched this episode, I went opening morning, not the Thursday before. I went Friday morning, first showing, which is about 7 p.m. I think at the IMAX, or 7 a.m. at the IMAX. Was just absolutely blown away. I mean, this was the first Star Wars movie since Revenge of the Sith, and I mean, 2005 is when Revenge of the Sith came out, and I mean, technology has grown exponentially since then. You didn't have the cheesy 2000s dialogue. And J J Abrams, whoever he hired for the
special effects?
Special effects.
Yeah, even
did tremendous. I mean, when the ships landed with the stormtroopers at the very first scene, it immediately captured me, and I knew it was going to be a good movie.
I remember you went and seen it that Friday morning. We worked together, and you took that Friday off. And I wish I could save the text message from then, but like those text messages were insane with like too many OMGs, exclamation marks, like you have to go see this movie. Just to follow up with what you said, to get off my chest, yeah, like you overhyped it a lot for me, and I think like you said, you went and saw it that Friday morning it came out. I went and saw it that Saturday night, I think, and I was blown away. It was like just a little bit over a year after my dad passed away, and I wouldn't be into Star Wars if it wasn't for that guy. So seeing it a year later kind of was emotional, especially with some of the scenes that are in that movie. But outside the emotions, that movie is probably the greatest Star Wars movie outside of Empire Strikes Back.
I would agree to that. I mean, Rogue One's up there.
Yeah.
But as far as the straight up 1 through soon to be 9, it's up there with 5.
Pretty much main franchise.
And then rewatching it for today's episode is still the roller coaster ride that it was when I seen it opening day or opening weekend. Ed, what about you? First time you seen it compared to recent watch today?
First time I did not see it in theaters. But first time I seen it, oh god, it wasn't very long after it came out on DVD. I loved it. Thought it was great. Thought it was really cool to see, all the new characters and then, mix in with the old, or original cast for that matter, I should say. Then this one, or this current viewing, I should say, trying to look through a different viewing and trying to get more of an aspect of what's in it, what kind of quality, differences, different things like that, so I can at least have something better to talk about than just I love Star Wars, lightsabers, hey, kind of stuff. So I've got to say, the different viewings, this one kind of holds its own. And I mean, I know it's just been a few years since it came out, but this one still is great. So
Zach, what about you?
Yeah, I saw it in the theater that Saturday night when the opening weekend. Was absolutely blown away by it. I think out of at least all of us probably, I'm probably the least of the Star Wars fan. I mean, I enjoy Star Wars, but but still, this one is by far my favorite one out of the whole bunch. I agree. I mean, you guys think Empire's number 1?
I think Empire's number 1. That's just my opinion.
This is number 1 for me.
Just from a classical standpoint.
Yeah. But yeah, I love all the new characters. I love them intertwined with the old ones. I think J J Abrams did a hell of a job directing it, and I think he set this new trilogy at the time in the right direction.
I will say, if you're not a fan of the original classic movies, this is a movie that you should probably start off with, because it not only does it reintroduce the characters so you can have a feeling for them, but it reintroduces a whole new line of people to where, hey, you don't have to be a Skywalker, a Luke Skywalker fan or a Han Solo fan. You can be over there with Kylo.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna mention a sour taste in at least my mouth when 2005 ended, the prequels were over, and Episode 3, officially came to a close, and then you had no Star Wars.
For 10 years.
For a long time. And it was actually October 30th, 2012 is when everybody's, Star Wars fandom would change forever, when Disney buys Lucasfilm for $4 billion. George Lucas would get $2.2 billion in cash, and then he would get $1.8 billion back in stock. So, right when Disney buys it, they're like, hey, we want to put a movie out by 2015, and this is it. I have to say that I'm just going to probably repeat myself, but let's go to somebody who, like Zach, you aren't a Star Wars diehard fan.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that this movie does that probably,
It's just a fresh of breath air, honestly. I mean, when I watched it for this viewing, it just when I when the opening, even the credits sprawl at the beginning, it just feels different. I mean, I understand that we're still in the Skywalker story, but it just feels like all the rules from the previous films don't really apply, and then we just have a whole new set of characters, and then we slowly add on the old ones, like Han Solo and Princess Leia and all, C-3PO.
So I'm going to go ahead and do roundtable questions, and we'll start Craig, and then we'll go opposite way. 2013, they announced J J Abrams is going to direct Star Wars, and then also in that same, in that same year, you get the first picture of roundtable reading the script with with Harrison Ford. What did you think when you first saw that? Like when you saw the old cast with the new cast, and then you found out J J Abrams was directing. What do you think? Because obviously he'd done the Star Trek movies, and he brought a huge new opening to those movies. So did you think he should be the guy through the next 3 movies?
Yeah, I mean, as far as Star Trek goes, I wasn't one who really cared for the older Star Treks. I mean, I saw a few of them, but was definitely caught from the new Star Treks, and I watch them and I have them on Blu-ray, and I mean, they're great films. And I saw Super 8. He did Super 8. Super 8 was good. It's a pretty good movie. But when I saw the reading, it just kind of gave me a timeline of where they were at. It still has the old cast, so it's not too far out. It's the same universe. So it kind of gave you something to look forward to as somebody who had seen the previous 6.
Ed, what about you? J J Abrams, do you think doing some movies like this compared to his Star Trek movies, do you think he's a good fit for the rest of them?
I do. The guy knows how to work with CGI, special effects, different things like that. I know they do actually shoot on location with a lot of these different shots, so I think it's a good thing that he wants to bring and mold both of those together. And I mean, as far as I can tell, you can't really truly tell if many things are out of place, like you can with the old ones when they've updated and updated and updated and updated and refreshed and updated again. But I mean, that's not really these guys' fault anymore. But I thought he did brilliant with this one, with Force Awakens. So I mean, if he stays on after this trilogy's over or done, whatever you want to call it, I wouldn't be mad at it. Whatever the guy or whatever Disney's studios wants to do with it would be probably pretty good, pretty great, because they're trying to at least make quality stuff, because they know quality gets the money.
I think it was Craig, you brought up the opening scene with Finn and the stormtroopers and Poe getting the map to Luke. What is it about the opening sequence of this Star Wars compared to like any other movies? I have to say, like, I was blown away when you first set eyes on Kylo and he gets upon the screen and he stops the blaster. Like, what the hell? Like, that is some stuff that you don't see in any of the other Star Wars movies.
Yeah, you actually see. I mean, you see the Force a little bit when Luke lifts up the X-wing, but just how fast he was able to stop a blaster, and the stormtroopers were also hitting things. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but that was something that I saw. But yeah, I can't remember the question.
Basically, I mean, you've got the refreshed look, kind of the updated, if you will. On top of that, you see Kylo Ren, the big bad guy, going through this, or at least the main bad guy for that matter. Then you've got the new guy coming in, Poe Dameron. I'm sorry about that. You've got him coming in.
Zach, first thoughts of Kylo?
Yeah, I think he's like the first, like you said, the first time you see him, it's just like, oh, like this guy's a badass. Like, he stops a blaster.
I think you see him a lot sooner than you see Vader in episode. No, you see Vader right off.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I think this sets the idea of like you were saying, Craig, the idea that the Force. You've always seen glimpses of the Force, but this is just like how powerful this villain's going to be in this trilogy.
Do you guys think that one of the big questions I have, and it was probably a gamble for even just a few years ago, do you think it was a gamble making just some random stormtrooper a main part of the movie. Like, a stormtrooper pops up and, he starts defying the odds and he takes off his helmet and for some reason, Ed brought it up that he's, what was your question? You brought up earlier that I think I corrected it. I'm not sure, but you brought up that how is he?
Well, okay, back when like the stormtroopers clone troopers, they were all basically a clone of Boba Fett's dad, Jango Fett. So they cloned them and had them basically before birth. So they basically were mind controlled practically. They did any and everything you asked. Order up to even Order 66, killing all the Jedi.
This is technically a prequel question,
yes.
Right? Okay.
Well, I mean, this is a prequel statement and all that. But, I mean, going into this, it just shows you that eventually those generations have died out. I mean, this is probably up to 40, 50 years later after all that, maybe even
But your
60.
first question was how come he was able to just snap out of it and stop doing what he was told. The only assumption I had for it, and any of you guys can jump up and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they kind of explain in a Solo story and Rogue One, like, these are just now regular troopers as stormtroopers now.
Yeah.
That's like kind of like military, like I want you to join the Empire.
Yeah, I still think they have that mindset to where they get them young enough to become soldiers. But he sees that one blaster and the guy dies and it just kind of hits him like, this is what we're here doing and you're going to see this stuff.
And it's even actually stated in this movie that he was on sanitation duty, and maybe that was his first duty station or assignment or whatever as a true stormtrooper that goes out on the field and fires weapons.
Well, what'd you guys think? Anybody can answer. Like when I first saw that, it's just a regular stormtrooper out of the blue that's stepping up and trying to be savior. You can look at it and say it could have been a risky move to write in a stormtrooper to do that, but now I'm like, it's original, it's different. I've never heard of that before.
Well, I mean, Luke was a farm boy, so they all got to start somewhere.
And I mean, Anakin started out as a slave on Tatooine, so I mean, you kind of in all three, the prequels, the originals, and then the current trilogies, you've got a path that each one of the characters always follows. Finn, Rey, Poe. Poe is more like a Han Solo, to where Rey is more Luke, and then you can kind of see, in a way, Finn is kind of a slight different character, but he's kind of more like Leia, as well as
he fits into the criteria.
Yeah, I mean, a little few different things, but yeah. So I mean. Yeah.
I mean, you got to start somewhere with characters. Obviously, and it's something different. I mean, you go back and you try to find somebody who's similar to the previous characters, and you're going to keep following that point, and it's going to get old. So you got to try to throw in something new to throw people off.
Yep.
Zach, let's say do you think that these movies? Do you think that any of this one in particular, Force Awakens? Do you think it tried to be too much like one of the original 3 Star Wars movies, or do you think it had just enough mixture of its own originality?
I think when I first saw it, I enjoyed the homages that are paid throughout the entire the original films. But on this rewatch, I was just kind of.
Did you like it as much this time around?
No. It was kind of like I was kind of being hit over the head. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just like I think. I understand JJ was trying to pay respect to those films, but to a certain extent you kind of have to let go and do your own thing, which he did. But I mean, it's just one after another at certain.
Let's get into, if you haven't seen this movie, heavy spoiler alert. One of your all-time favorite characters, Han Solo, does die and gets thrown off of a bridge. It was kind of, it wasn't a debate or anything, but it was kind of a little agreement to disagree, if you will. Ed, you didn't like the scene. You thought that,
unnecessary.
You thought it was an unnecessary death. I am the opposite. I think somebody like that deserved to fucking die.
Dang.
I think a character from the original 3 had to die, and it had to be a very big death.
Exactly.
Had to be a very big deal. Let's chime in first. Why do you think it was unnecessary?
Because
and then we're all three gonna attack you.
I mean, I know, right? I do agree that there was a necessary death for the trio, the original three: Leia, Luke, and Han. I mean, I guess it does make most sense for Han because Leia's the needed general. Luke is kind of the ne'er-do-well outcast that, oh, don't mess with me. I kill everything I touch, kind of thing. But I mean, it could have been done in the second instead of the first. I mean, I think they did it a bit too early, is what I personally think. But I mean, yeah,
you didn't like the way you didn't like the way it would happen, though, right?
Not really. But I mean, then again, it does show how devious Kylo Ren can be because he was basically playing on emotions. He knew what he was thinking. He knew what he was feeling. He knew he's going to be, the father that tries to regain because the mother wants the son back and all this stuff. So the father's going to try, and all that. But I mean, I think that's the shining light out of it, and that's the main reason his death was necessary. But to me, it was just kind of unnecessary. I
almost thought Chewie should have gotten it before Han. That way it would have given Han... Because throughout this whole movie you see that Han has no bad bone in his body for Kylo. And you find out, probably an hour into the movie that's his son.
Yeah.
So I really think it would have been nice to see Kylo kill Chewie, and then maybe you see Han get like some backbone about him about the whole situation. Craig, you're over there shaking your head. What do you say?
I mean...
First off, how did you feel about the death?
Necessary, but timing could have been better.
Like earlier, sooner, later, or in another movie?
Later or another movie. But, I mean, Kylo killing Chewie doesn't do much for the story arc of Kylo Ren. But killing his own father kind of shows that he has hatred in him. And that he's willing to kill his own family at the cost of being Darth Vader of his generation.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't see him killing Chewie doing much for me.
It wouldn't have done much for like the character itself or the audience, but I think it would have done.
It would have pissed Han.
I would have. I would have liked to see Han get a little bit because in this movie. Han is more of the grandpa-like character than anything, and when I think of Han Solo and the opposite films, I think of a cocky, brash, balls-out guy who don't care what's going on. He wants his money, he wants his his reward, and he don't care who he has to step on to get it. And I kind of wish, looking back at this rewatch, that I would have seen that kind of Han Solo in this movie.
I mean, it does kind of show him like that because he did take the 50,000 from both of those gangs. So it does kind of show the still reliving his glory days. But yeah, it does show that he has matured a ton. But yeah, I mean...
I don't know if it's that he's... I mean, you could say it's matured, but going through Solo, which I think was a great addition to the Star Wars universe, I don't care what anybody else says.
Agreed.
You see how much betrayal he got in just that one movie, from Woody Harrelson's character and I can't think of their character names.
We've actually debated on this show, and I'm a big fan of Solo as well. Could you imagine if that movie came out in May of 2018? Could you imagine if it would have came out December of 2018? Because I mean, Last Jedi came out December of 2017. Just not even, 6 months later, here comes another Star Wars film. And Last Jedi already had some bad heat on it. Plus, not to mention, you had Avengers Infinity War come out just a few weeks before Solo.
Yeah, big blockbuster.
So why not put Solo in December, a whole year after Last Jedi? Because, at that point in May, when they released it, you already knew, at least Disney did, they already knew they were going to lose money or have the money barely make its money back because of all the reshoots they had to do. I mean, we've chimed in on this a lot, Zach, if you want to, take him, but I'm going to get your opinion on this first because, before that, you,
Yeah, so
Why not? I mean, I feel like it should have been a December film because the only movie it had to go against in December was Aquaman and Transformers. I mean, come on. Solo would have outdone both of those movies with ease.
Yeah, I don't know what their strategy was. I don't know if it was just bad timing or if that's where they had purposely planned it years ahead.
Because you said it yourself, you didn't even go see it opening weekend. You waited like a week or two, right?
I had no intentions of seeing it.
Right.
It was a 11 o'clock last showing, let's go see a movie, and it was there. And I walked out absolutely loving it. So I think the reason it got such a bad rap was it's a Han Solo movie. I mean, everybody thinks they know who Han Solo was, but I think it gave a great background on...
I mean, you got to see the Kessel Run.
Yeah, the Kessel Run, it gave the background on that. It gave the background of him and Chewie's relationship and how that got started. You saw how Han Solo become, why he was so bitter in the first 3 movies.
Yeah. Zach, let's say you didn't, get to give your chime in on the murder of Han Solo, but what did you think about that? And then what do you think about the, to me, Solo in Episode 7, if I had one negative about this movie, and this is nitpicking, it would be how Solo is soft in this movie.
So, first doing the Han Solo thing, I think it was very ballsy for J J Abrams to say we're going to go ahead and kill one of these characters off in the first film. I think out of all 3, at least the 3 main ones, I think it had to have been Han, and like you said, Craig, it kind of cemented Kylo Ren's the villainry of that character, and that he's willing to do anything to become, like you said, Darth Vader, and even when we talk about Snowcare, when we get to him, I think I was shocked by it. I mean, I can't say that. I called it when he went off on the ledge,
right?
And when he met Kylo in the middle, I knew it was going to happen, but I think I wasn't expecting as hard it was going to hit me, I guess.
Yeah.
And then when he just falls over, I was just like, oh, okay, that's
the
end of Han Solo. I think is one of the, in my opinion, I think it was one of the better scenes in the film. It's not my favorite scene, but, and then going to the Solo question, I think, it's always tricky to know what exactly is going to happen when a film comes out. I think it's a combination of the bad heat off Last Jedi. I think it was Infinity War. Just everyone was kind of still high on that, and I think the other part of it was the production problems.
Yeah.
You had Chris Lord and Miller that was going to direct it. They got booted off by Kathleen Kennedy, and then Ron Howard came in to finish the job. Which, I'm not saying anything bad about Ron Howard. Mm-hmm. It's just, it was supposed to be a comedy, and then Ron Howard kind of came in and did like a dramedy.
I don't know what was going to happen before Ron Howard took over, but I will say the finished product, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm. And I think it gets a bad rap, and it doesn't deserve it at all. No,
you have say people in last year 2018 when that movie came out, you have $20. You're gonna go see Infinity War or Han Solo? You're going to go see Infinity War.
I'd already seen that twice or 3
Right. So you have no intention at all in seeing Solo. Right. I just think the timing of the release is what, at the end of the day, bit it in its own ass.
Right. Well, I mean, and it came out Memorial Day weekend, and you would think, if people were going to do anything, they would go see a movie. But, that just wasn't the case. So
I think they were just trying to put it out there because they didn't think it was going to be as good as... I mean, as a true diehard Star Wars fan, I enjoyed it. You enjoyed it.
I liked it.
Zach enjoyed it.
Ed, you enjoyed it.
Well, and the other thing is, sorry, Ed. The other thing is, and then I'll pass it back to Ed. I think the other thing is, I didn't think they were going to think. I thought that they didn't think it was going to make $1 billion. It wasn't going to be a moneymaker.
It was just throw it out there, let's see what happens, and we'll go from there.
I mean, I can see that, but I mean, honestly, yeah, with that, I'd say it really didn't get its fair due, just because, I thought it was, honestly, I thought it was better than Rogue One, personally. I know I'm going to catch a bit of flack for that, but I do kind of like the more upbeat, not, strategical or whatever movies. That's personal opinion.
We're weeks, right, and I want to get to that, because we're weeks away from The Rise of Skywalker. And in the mailbag, I'll read it in a little bit, but in the mailbag, one of the questions off the top of my head was, why didn't we talk prequels? First off, there was enough time in the upcoming months to talk prequels. If you're going to talk prequels, I think Episode 1 deserves its own episode.
Definitely.
I think that's how good that is, and it's very underrated. And then the same thing with 3, maybe?
Yeah.
And then Rogue One and Solo. Like, there's enough weeks, there's a bunch of other movies I want to talk about.
Well,
go ahead.
And one of the other things, I think, you said you like it better than Rogue One. I agree with you on that. And I just think the characters are better in Solo than I think Rogue One.
Well, I mean, Rogue One was leading up to a specific thing. Solo was kind of
both
its
of you
own
guys
deal.
agree that you didn't like Rogue One because of no character development.
Well, I mean, it had character development, but it killed most, if not half.
They weren't in
But,
the later
yeah.
episodes. It was showing how they got the plans to destroy the Death Star.
Oh, no, yeah, no,
And
I get it, but I was just like,
going into a movie like that, you know everybody's going to die. That's like going into Titanic and saying, I didn't like Titanic because I knew everybody was going to die.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, Rogue One, you didn't necessarily know that. But the reason I like Rogue One so much is you don't necessarily see the absolute war side of Star Wars that often. I mean, the Clone Troopers, you kind of saw it a little bit, but Rogue One, you saw the nitty-gritty, down to battle, we're going to do whatever we can to get what we need to do.
Rogue One is the Saving Private Ryan of Star Wars.
Took the words out of my mouth.
But, I mean, I just kind of like the upbeat thing, you know, like the introduction of Han Solo's character. I mean, you know, overall, and when he was young, and how, you know, the Golden Die and how he, or Golden Dice, and how he met Chewie and all that, compared to, like, Rogue One was basically how they got the plans. You know, you got the big thing with Vader coming through, and, you know, I think that was just the one scene, but, I mean, it's been a while since I've watched that one, so, but, you know, you've got a lot of different good stuff. I'm not saying it's bad at all. I'm just saying, personally, I liked Solo a little bit more just because I just liked it. That's all.
Character familiarity.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, definitely, too. Yeah.
One thing that I liked, it threw me off when I saw it, but one thing I liked about Rogue One is it didn't have that big scroll, the big cinematic scroll. It just came straight into a movie, and you're like, hold on, you know, where's...
This isn't Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. And it's showing you that it's not a movie about telling a story. It's showing you just the absolute war side of the Star Wars films.
Now, my next question, and I'm probably going to be the only one that is really going to be hating on this, but, you know, that being said, I've heard that Solo is the last Star Wars story film that's going to be produced, and if there is something else that's like that it's going to be Disney Plus.
I absolutely hate that decision.
So, okay, thank God, because we talked about this on Sunday, that certain movies, you need that theater feel. You need the surround sound. You need the big event feel. With Disney Plus now, something like The Mandalorian TV show, okay, I get it, but it's still a multi-million-dollar corporate, product. But something like, say if they do a Obi-Wan Kenobi story, which I've heard rumors of it being either a movie.
Well, yeah. Ewan McGregor's come out and said he's doing it.
Yeah, it's either going to be a movie or a episodic series. If it's a movie, either way, it's going straight to Disney Plus. That's something I want to see in a theater.
Well, and it sucks that it's going to be this way. But if they were to, because I saw that I can't think of the guy's name right off the bat, but the guy who played Solo, he had signed on for 3 movies.
Yep.
And, I mean, at the end, you had Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there like, okay, where are they going to go with this story?
Take my money now.
And, like you said, they kind of just scrapped it. And if it goes to Disney Plus, so be it. I still get to see it. But like you said, it should be in the big theater. And I think, hopefully, they put out a good product and the fans show that they want it in the theater, and they put it in the theater for that reason.
Because, I mean, you've got the Obi-Wan Kenobi story. You've got more stories of, you know, Han Solo and Chewie, for that matter. You've got a ton of different things. Even Vader in between, 3 and 4. You could do something about that. I'm not saying.
I've seen enough of Vader, I think.
Well, I mean, there's that. But, I mean, you've got so many different things. Or the story of Darth Maul. What the hell happened to that guy? You've got so many different things in the Star Wars universe that you can do. But, I mean, I do see the business side of that because they're trying to get Disney Plus out there and really trying to hard hammer down on that.
But like Solo 2, you can see his what his relationship with Jabba went. Like, why did it go south? How much money did he really owe Jabba? Stuff like that.
And I think they're trying to make more of every time the main series of Star Wars it comes out. I think they're trying to make it an event, so people will go and see that specifically more. So they'll make more of the money through that, because then.
So they're tired of making $900 million. They just want $2 billion.
Exactly.
Basically.
I mean,
well, and I have two thoughts on that. Number one, I think because everyone has been craving an Obi-Wan movie, and Ewan McGregor has been doing press for Dr. Sleep. He's gone on record and saying, look, I was always open to coming back for the character. I think that when they officially made the deal that he was going to do it, he couldn't outright say it, but since it's been already announced he's going to do it. Because so many people have been wanting that character to come back, I think it will be released in the theaters.
Because now you can do that. What happened to him after the betrayal of Anakin and the birth of Luke and Leia? We all know that he delivered him to his uncle and all that, Lars. But I mean, why did he stay on Tatooine? Why didn't he? Was it just a hideout so he would A, watch over Luke, and B, basically survive and stay under the radar on the outer system? Or was there more of a reason? What did he do in between that? Why was he a hermit?
Well, and speaking of trilogy films, they have actually came out and announced that the Game of Thrones creator trilogy has been scrapped.
Yeah,
they're not doing it.
Yeah,
so
they canceled that, which I kind of think at the moment is a smart idea, but we'll see.
They could have something else planned.
Yeah.
Me personally, when they do the Obi-Wan film, I would like to see a part of Obi-Wan in it. Just have him come in for a little bit, and because you saw Qui-Gon a little bit, he kind of was that comfort character in Episode 1, and he kind of had he's that smooth, just kind of everything, keep calm, we got this. You didn't really get to see much of him. He was there, but he wasn't there, and he was kind of like Han Solo in Episode 7, just gone too soon.
Well, I mean, and I agree with you on that, Craig. And they actually mentioned him at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to do more training with Qui-Gon. So
because he's coming through. Because I think Yoda is the one who mentions that. Yeah, he's talking to him through Force Ghost and all that. So yeah.
Speaking of Force Ghost, that's kind of jumping the gun with Episode 8, but let's get back to a little bit of Force Awakens right now. Little fun fact that Simon Pegg is now one of the first actors to be in both this and a Star Trek movie, as the arms dealer or the junkyard guy in who feeds sells food to Rey and stuff.
On Colto.
These characters compared to the original three, Kylo, Rey, Poe, Finn. Yeah, that's true. Do you guys think that these new characters are just redos, or do you think there's like this scene right here? I mean, I know this isn't a watch long, but before Episode 8 and before we even have any of the hype of 9, you see that she opens up the chest and the lightsaber speaks to her. You can hear Vader in the background. I think there's a small, point where you can hear Ewan McGregor's, Obi-Wan voice. Is it telling you something and it's right there, or do you still think that it's made a mistake?
So, I really do like the sequence where, she's having like the visions of maybe what's to come or what her parentage is or whatever. Do you guys, and I'm kind of jumping ahead to Last Jedi, but did you guys want?
Because there's a scene right there from Last Jedi. If you're
exactly. Did you guys care about who her parents are, or do you think we'll get that like resolved in Rise of Skywalker?
All right.
I do think I think that we'll get it in Rise of Skywalker. I mean, because don't get me wrong, the whole thing of Kylo Ren saying, "Oh, your parents are nothing. They scrapped you. Come join me, and we'll do all this," from Last Jedi at least. It is a bunch of just trying to throw everybody off the trail and all that good junk.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they put too much emphasis on it in both movies to not do anything. I mean, it's like, oh my God, Luke, and Leia and Luke and Leia, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, they're twins and they've made out. Oh, great. Hello.
Well, and also the girl with the big glasses, I can't remember her name.
Kanata.
Yeah.
There you
go. She asked Han. She says, "Who's the girl?" So she's another thing that you're saying, Edward, or Ed. They're hinting that there's something more behind who she is.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, she could have just been like, "Who's the tag along? Like, who the fuck is this?" But still.
My thoughts off the top of my head with her asking who is that. Maybe she's not anybody related with Han Solo or Princess Leia. Maybe she is, the offspring seed of Luke. But either way, I kind of feel like
I feel like that's too obvious. I feel like they're not going to go make it that easy.
Well, see, but that's the thing. I also feel like why can't she just be somebody new who has the Force? Why go back through that old thing all the way back to Episode 1 being a Skywalker? She's either a Solo or a Skywalker. Why not just be a random person who now has the Force?
And she very well could be, and they're just trying to throw us off our loop.
Because I would rather see just something new, something original. She doesn't have to have that line of blood in her. Because if Rise of Skywalker is supposed to be the final chapter in the Skywalker saga, then she should be somebody who has no line of Skywalker blood in her. She's a new Jedi. Kylo Ren dies at the end of Episode 9, and boom, Princess Leia probably going to die too. Nobody wants to see it, but she probably will. And then boom, that's it. No more Skywalker, no more any of that.
Well, I mean, one thing you've got to point out right here is Maz Kanata has too much knowledge in the Force, because I'm pretty sure it's implied that she's 1,000 years old from Han walking into the bar. On top of that, she sees so much different stuff that it's not funny. So I mean, there's got to be. So I mean, if she and I'm throwing this out there. I have not heard any confirmations of this at all, so bear with me. But if she's as insightful as Yoda, there's got to be something she's seeing that she's knowing that is going to take place in this girl's life, that she's going to find out what information she wants. You have been spending your time in a place that has no bearing for you. Move on is basically what she says. I mean, in different words, but she says what you're looking for is in the path in front of you. Go do things. So Rey's like, oh, okay, you seem, takes, because I mean, she could take advice from this total stranger that maybe she's like, go there, First Order is waiting for you, stupid, or she takes it as, this one actually cares. Let's try and see.
I think, I agree with all you guys about what you're saying about this, but I think J J Abrams is a director that's so good at hiding secrets, and when he knows exactly what he wants to do, he does a really good job of portraying it. Now, granted, we kind of got a bump in the road with Rian Johnson in Last Jedi, but we're not going to get into that. But I think at the end of the day, it's really good that JJ is doing the capper of this trilogy.
What I was going to say, since you said that, at the end of the day, you might know how good of a director he really is if he goes back and makes you fall in love with The Last Jedi, if that makes any sense. Some of the stuff he could just end up rewriting for 9 could end up just making, oh, that's why that happened. That's why that happened. Yeah.
I think there are a few things he can go back and correct, but me personally, there's
too much.
Not too much. It's very subtle things that, in my opinion, should have been changed in The Last Jedi, and that's why
Let's bring up another character that is introduced in 7, and there's not too much backstory, but where 7, where what's going to happen in 8, obviously, and that is played by Andy Serkis, Snoke. I have my theories, and I know why it was done. That's how I feel, but I mean, when I brought up Snoke to you earlier, Craig, you shook your head. Zach, you shook your head. Ed, I don't know what the fuck you think about Snoke in your opinion. But I mean, let's start. Whoever wants to go first. Snoke.
Well, before we do that, I want to hear some. You have some theories. Let's do some fan booking. Do you think he's going to come back in Rise of Skywalker?
Snoke?
Yeah. Or do you think he's done? That's it.
I'll take this one if you want.
Sure.
Okay, so with Snoke's been killed. Simple. I think it would be stupid to go ahead and introduce Snoke back into the frame and then bring Palpatine in. I think that would be stupid. That would be way too much overpowering on the Sith side. And if these movies, as in Star Wars, is supposed to be predominantly about balance, you know what I mean? Then either A, both of them die, one dies, B, one dies, C, everybody dies, or, you know...
Well, you have plenty of time because this has already been on record that this is the longest Star Wars movie of all time.
I'm cool with that.
You don't have any kind of backstory with Snoke. I don't think you need backstory with Snoke. I think he was plain in place to be... I think he was put there to put over Kylo Ren.
Basically.
I think you needed somebody who had Sith-like looks and who was a Sith-like character in Episode 7. So let's bring him back in Episode 8 just for Kylo to kill him.
So, it kind of just came in my head. Do you think Snoke was a puppet of Palpatine because they didn't want to show Palpatine in Episode 8?
That could have been... I mean, that's ultimate booking right there. And I think that could be... That's probably the biggest reason why Snoke was probably brought in then.
Which, see, I mean, in 8, I see more of Luke in Kylo Ren than anything, you know, torn between... Well, I mean, Luke truly wasn't torn between, but he was trying to do something for the dark side, as in lure Vader away to the light side. So he was entertaining the idea, but it wasn't all there at all, you know. So,
what
I
do you
mean, okay, so...
Luke was always... You know, he'd always just want to be... He just wanted his dad back.
Right.
That's all he wanted.
But, I mean, he was going not strictly to those full lengths, but he was going to certain lengths to try and get him back. Playing with the Emperor, playing with Darth Vader, trying to get Darth Vader to be back to Anakin, or his father at least. And what I'm meaning is the same thing, but kind of in a different way with Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren was playing with Rey, seeing that he wants to power her on his side to have more power. Sorry about that. But sorry, it's kind of a complicated thing I'm trying to get
No,
at.
he was... Kylo Ren, you're talking about Episode 8.
More than 7, but yeah.
Kylo Ren, at the end of the day, always wanted her for selfish reasons.
Yeah, definitely. Because
I don't think in Episode 6 there was no selfish bone in Luke's body other than bringing his dad to the light side.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not the same thing, but it's similar, but not the same thing. It's kind of more of a reverse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of a little sports input here. Kylo Ren was basically the Golden State Warriors luring Kevin Durant away from the light side to make it easier to conquer the universe.
Pretty much.
Sorry.
I mean, no. Perfect.
Yeah,
I mean, if you understand basketball, perfect.
That's an amazing analogy.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But I mean, okay. Going back to the original thing, as far as Snoke, I do think it'd be a stupid thing to bring back. They may. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not part of the writers. I don't know. So they might bring him back. But I mean, I think if you're bringing back Palpatine or Darth Sidious,
There's no reason.
Then exactly no reason in anywhere because that's already.
Do you guys think? And this is more fantasy booking with Episode 9. Do you think Rey could possibly be a child of a Sith Lord?
That was going to be one of my theories that I brought up. I heard this theory. It's not my theory, but someone's theory and I'm paraphrasing this. What if Palpatine? And I really didn't think about the idea. I really didn't think about the idea of Snoke being the puppet for Palpatine, and they just didn't want to bring him this early into the trilogy. What if Rey isn't? You know, she has no lineage. What if Rey is a creation of Palpatine? Because it says in the trailer that your journey is almost completed.
Well,
basically.
I mean, a lot of theories are out there that Anakin's father is Palpatine. Maybe not through biological ways, as in usual reproduction ways, but through the midi-chlorians that he messed with that and then she was ultimately Shmi Skywalker was pregnant.
And I don't really believe. Sorry, Craig.
No.
I don't really believe that theory is correct, just because the structure of a Star Wars film. I mean, I think we can sit here and agree that the final, the climax of the film is them fighting on the water, like the debris in the water. So
Probably, or the ships, or whatever you want to call
We'll throw back to episode 3. Water instead of lava.
Yeah.
I mean, the way these two new movies have gone, it seems like they're rewriting history anyway. So
Yeah. Trying to think about what I was going to say. Oh, you see a little bit of Rey holding the double-sided lightsaber, which absolutely I freaked out.
That was cool.
I paused it, rewound it, paused it, rewound it. I freaked out for a good 15-20 minutes when I saw that. So I think you'll see, like you were saying, Zach, that she was, might be a descendant of Palpatine. Maybe you see a bit of her seeing what she could be if she were to follow that path, and it also
Like a
could
vision.
be. It also could be like a Jedi mind trick type thing.
Oh yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to see where exactly they put that in the movie, if they put that in the movie.
I mean, I'm still, I was stuck on that for a little bit too, but I'm still stuck on the backflip that she did over the TIE fighter. Or I think we're pretty much,
in the very first teaser trailer.
yeah, I think we're all pretty much there with each other that it was Kylo Ren's, TIE fighter.
But you know what's
Maybe
good about
not.
some of these? You know what's good about some of these trailers is I guarantee you 50% of the stuff we saw aren't in the movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I don't know, dude. Like they've gone on record and said this is actually going to be the longest Star Wars, 2 hours and 35 minutes. So
Infinity War was pretty long, and there was some stuff left out of there.
yeah.
Thor's eye patch.
Going back to Force Awakens, what do you guys think about? And I guess we can go round table about this. What do you guys think about the interactions between Kylo and Rey? Me personally, I think those are the better parts of the film, just because we know.
I like them.
He is so worried about her in the first scene when he said when one of the coworkers, I guess you would say,
after he just throws his temper
demolishes.
tantrum.
Yes, he says, "What girl?" So I think he knows something about her, but
I think he's always known something about her, and the moment he heard "girl" is when he freaked the fuck out.
And see, that's the thing. Go ahead.
We're probably going to say the same thing. He had been told by whoever is above him, probably Snoke mentioned it to him, that there was a girl out there that had similar powers and was growing, and if she ever got into the wrong hands, essentially Luke, Leia, all them, that it would be his demise. And I'm pretty sure, like you were going to say,
Pretty much, I'm going to say that everybody with the Force always says, what girl, or, oh, who's she, or what, it's always something about who is this girl. So, I mean, that's going back to the question from earlier, who do you think they're going to reveal her parents? Like we said, they've spent too much emphasis and time on that. I mean, don't get me wrong, they didn't spend any time on who Anakin's father was, but yet this question is still asked here and there. So, I mean,
your original question, Zach, was about...
my just original question was the interaction between Rey and Kylo.
Oh, yeah. I think that it is the best part of this movie and the next, but I like how it's leading into something bigger. Yeah. Now, if they completely Spider-Man 3 this shit, and they build... Cause, I've ranted through many episodes about Tobey Maguire and James Franco, how they were building between the two, and then they just dropped the ball in the beginning of the movie. If we reach an hour into episode 9 and one of the two are already dead, which I really highly doubt that's going to happen. Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do see what you mean.
Say we're 45 minutes into episode 9 and Kylo Ren is dead already. That's going to be a what the fuck moment.
Unless it's a huge scene.
I don't.
The only way he dies, I say that Palpatine destroys him.
There's no time stones to bring Thanos back in this, all right? I don't think they'll kill Kylo Ren that soon, just because I think it'll be towards the end of the movie, but there will be enough time to show why exactly Palpatine is there.
Yeah.
Unless Palpatine is the one to die first, and then Kylo Ren absolutely goes batshit crazy and just destroys everything. Or Rey does,
Well, that's one of the main things that I kind of don't hope is that, we're an hour in and just one of the two dies when throughout the entire trilogy so far they're leading into them two doing something big together.
Yeah, but you gotta admit, if they killed off Kylo in the first 30 minutes, that'd be like.
That would be a Rian Johnson mistake.
It would be. It's only
It
if
would
it's
break the internet.
if it's done right.
But like you said, I don't think they're not going to do that just because of how the trailers are built and kind of the structure of a Star Wars film. The final climax is going to be between Kylo and Rey. I mean, unless
With Palpatine being.
yeah.
So they're pretty much redoing the Return of the Jedi.
Yes or no, which is why I'm saying it could be Kylo first or Palpatine first. I don't think it'll be that Vader, Palpatine, Luke.
Because it obviously looks like Palpatine is going to have some kind of wheelchair to get to and back from his area. Because you can see in the last trailer that they released, he's in some kind of removable chair. Yeah. So I think his legs are already gone from him. So how powerful is he? And if he's not very powerful, why bring him in at all?
Physically, he might not be that powerful, but force-wise, I'm sure he's still...
Then there's been a lot of rumors that you might get some force ghosts from Liam Neeson or Christian Haydenson.
Anakin.
Yeah.
I mean,
and his Twitter has been blowing up with some of the recent tweets he's been putting out. Again, I'm tired of Vader at this point. Do you guys think if you see him up on the screen, do you think he really needs to be in there?
I mean, you could put Christian Haydenson as Anakin Christian Haydenson, because that's what they did ultimately in the end of the re-releases.
Here we go with the re-releases of the original trilogy.
I know.
This rant is...
I know, but I'm just saying, they've done that, so it's obviously been made a possibility to be in. But I mean, okay, I'm going back on, the death of Han Solo. Then if they bring... Well, okay, no, what I'm saying is if they go ahead and bring Kylo Ren to the light, then that was highly unnecessary then. They're going to screw up more of the story, I think, in that regard.
Like I said, I'm tired of Vader, and I'm tired of at this point, I don't think Christian Haydenson's Anakin needs to be brought up in this new trilogy.
Yeah. But I mean,
because I do have a feeling, but besides Luke Skywalker, I think you're going to have one or two Force Ghost surprises.
Because, I mean, you could do Obi-Wan, older or younger Obi-Wan. You could do Qui-Gon. You could do... I mean, there's a multiple,
Do you guys... Because there was a lot of people after this last trailer, there's a sequence of the movie where there's like a whole bunch of people kind of riding horses and just a whole bunch of ships and everything. Do you think that this is going to be like a portal sequence from Endgame? There's going to be like a whole bunch of people come in and fight Palpatine or something?
Please, no.
I don't think so. I think it'll just be a action scene.
Because I mean, you haven't had any Force Ghost CGI in any of the new movies, so you're bound to get one in this one. You think?
Well, yeah,
they've done it across both trilogies. So
right,
I mean,
but you haven't had one yet to this point. So
Luke's
a given.
Does Yoda count from Last Jedi? He's technically a Force Ghost.
He was in it.
Was he?
Yeah, in Last Jedi, yeah.
Remember, we were sitting there watching it, and you were like, Yoda's going to show up. And I was like, no. And then he's like,
he is in it.
And you were like, I told you.
Okay, well, let me take that back then. Now that you've seen just Yoda, do you think there's going to be one or two more surprises like there was in Last Jedi then? And if so...
I mean, she has the Jedi text.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's going to learn how to possibly communicate. You don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a legit Jedi text out there that shows what's in it, but
I'm not currently getting any text messages from any kind of Jedi. So.
Oh, okay.
Stop.
So no, I mean you've with this one with Force Awakens, you've got holding the bolt in place, and I mean don't get me wrong, Kylo Ren practically did that effortlessly. He practically didn't think about it. And, or just reacted in a split second to it. On top of that, he practically didn't think about it the whole time he was, going after Finn. Then in the second one, you've got Luke with the Force projection from how many friggin' planets away? You know what I mean? Or solar systems for that matter.
We'll get to the Luke stuff a little bit later on. I wanted to touch on the Snoke issue just because, I mean, throughout the trailer, throughout the entire, episode 7, you think of a badass Sith. Anytime you see him. Now, I mean, you're almost an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, and you finally got them two face to face to each other, and this is the scene where Kylo kind of forces his force onto Daisy.
Basically, he goes ahead and
Tries to read her mind.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
tries to, but I think at this point he realizes just how strong she is.
That's the first time he takes off his mask, right?
Yeah.
in this one, yes. Well, in this universe, yes.
Which an ugly motherfucker.
Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, kind of.
That's an hour and 25 minutes into the movie.
It almost makes you think how immature, childish, and just picking at straws he is. Just because you don't need the mask, but yet you wear it. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about that for a minute. This is the first time you guys, in this movie, you see him wear the mask. You know he's got the voice changer, and then he finally removes the mask, and nothing's wrong with him. Is that him trying to be too much like the predecessor that came before him? Or do you guys think, is it a masculinity thing? Ed, you seem like you just don't like Kylo Ren at all.
Well, no, I like the character, but I'm saying, like, basically they make him look weak-minded, at least, because you're grabbing
I
at
think he's
something
supposed
that,
to.
Yeah. And I mean, but they're making him to where, okay, you set your helmet on
Are you trying
ashes
to
of
you trying to
Vader.
say they make it too obvious that he's trying to be immature and
Maybe-
unstable?
Yeah, but I mean, I think they write him too immature, too unstable, for that matter, because, I mean, the character, I'd say, is at least 25, if not older. So, you'd figure at that age some maturity would set up. But
in his defense, I think he's made such a big jump from going from my dad was best friend to Luke Skywalker to now I'm trying to follow in my dad's my grandfather's footsteps and becoming, a Sith Lord. Your ego is going to be tested, and obviously it shows that with him. But going back to other Sith, I mean, besides Palpatine and stuff like that, there are other Sith that wear masks. There's always something unique about them. It's not going to look like you and me or Luke and Rey. There's always something that makes them look evil and...
Well, I mean, with Darth Maul, his was just natural. His
that's his look,
skin pigmentation as well. I mean, the paint, obviously. Then the horns, as well as, the main thing that set him apart was abilities and... physical abilities, I'm going to say, more than anything. Well as, because, I mean, the dude was nuts. I mean, he was probably, and I'm going to say this, and I might be scrutinized for this, but I think he was the best trained, physically at least.
Well, going back to the original story for Darth Maul, him and his brother were forced to fight each other to become that supreme, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
Their teacher forced them to fight to the death, and that's why he became who he is.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, he's the only one to go ahead and use the double-bladed lightsaber so far in canon. Okay, we get Daisy Ridley's Rey using it now.
Looking, like, since you brought that up, I'm going to ask a question. Star Wars Episode 1 and that whole prequel just gets too much, it's too judged, I think. Do you guys think that when you have a character built up like Darth Maul, in the toy lineup, big seller, product-wise, T-shirts, all that stuff, you had your new Darth Vader character. He was selling merchandise left and right. Do you think they took him off the movies way too fast?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
He could have been somebody that, he could have lived through 1, 2, and then Anakin could have killed him in the third one.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. You've got someone in the classic trilogy or the original trilogy, as in Darth Maul or Darth Vader, that's pretty original. I mean, don't get me wrong. Nobody had seen anything like that beforehand. I mean, now you kind of see something similar with Kylo Ren, but you've got Darth Maul that is pretty dang original too in the prequel trilogies. I thought they. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Not less in Episode 1. They were going straight. I mean, I think the only one here who has any of the book knowledge is, I don't know.
I have a little bit,
Craig.
But
I didn't even know about Darth Maul and his brother.
Yeah, that's so. When he fell down the tunnel in Episode 1, his brother is the one that found him and took him back. To my knowledge, I might be wrong on that.
So if you're looking back at Episode 1, and is he originally supposed to die like that, or could they have just rewrote him into being a badass for 2.5 films?
So I want to say that I read that one of the creators said that there's always going to be a character like Jango Fett. He's just he grabs the attention of the audience, and they don't always live. I mean, Ultron, he's in one movie. He's in others, but he's in one.
Well, I mean, no wrong. Yeah, you're meaning basically he's in one as in the big guy.
Physical form, yeah. He's the main, and it just happens to be that way sometimes. The villain is the attention grabber. He just is the one that people pull to and really like to see, and becomes the big cosplay and everything.
It's a funny scene.
It's the way that the script is written that he dies. But I think, like you said, he's written back into Solo because I know they want him to have a bigger role.
Right. They don't do that just for shits and giggles.
Right. They know that he's a big attention grabber, big toy seller. Disney's all about the money. Why not try to bring him back any way that they can?
Masks, makeup, all kinds of stuff. Halloween. But I really do wish that, in episode 9, or I mean not episode 9, in episode 1, or like how Ed said, that Kylo was more of a immature person. Who's left pretty much to, was it 7 and 8? Is it just Snoke that he knows about, or do you think he might be his attention being grabbed by somebody else?
Kylo?
Yeah.
I think Kylo.
I think Snoke is all that he
knew about.
Supposed to know.
Whatever, yeah.
That's all he was supposed to know.
It's the chain of command. Kylo knows about Snoke, and Snoke knows about Palpatine.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know if that's true, but that's my theory about it.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, or Palpatine just recently brought himself back, or what? I don't know how they're gonna spin it. We've got to wait for that.
But I mean, like, and I think all of us would agree, the only way I could see him, the way they explain it, is the Darth Sidious type thing.
Well, I mean, you've got to think,
Darth Plagueis. Is
Darth
that his name?
Plagueis the Wise, yeah. Going ahead and bringing himself back from the dead and all that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the only way that I can see. I mean, unless they do some Darth Maul, Anakin's lightsaber kind of crap. Because, I mean, I'm still waiting on that. Like, how the hell did she get the lightsaber from, what was it, Cloud City that it fell? Or was it the first, was it the first Death Star?
You're talking about the blue lightsaber?
Yeah.
It fell from Cloud City.
Okay,
well, and the other thing is they mention, I don't really know much about this part of Star Wars, but they mention the oh god damn it.
Because I know, while you're thinking about that, the saber did fall from Cloud City.
Yeah.
The Knights of Ren.
Oh, right.
Don't they mention the Knights of Ren in that vision sequence with Rey?
Oh yeah.
So, like, what exactly is the Knights of Ren?
Explain the Knights of Ren.
I don't exactly know.
The Knights of Ren are kind of like the First Order. Okay, the Knights of Ren are kind of an older Sith-like, but they're not truly a Sith.
But they're pretty much...
They're kind of doing their own... what they want.
So aren't they pretty much the same exact kind of bodyguard assembly, if you will, that hung around...
Snoke?
No. That kind of hung around...
Grievous?
No. Palpatine in Episode 6. Remember, he always had his guards with him in the entire Episode 6, the ones that just, made sure he was pretty much okay.
Like a bodyguard.
Right. That's what I put the Knights of Ren at, like.
Because, I mean, Kylo Ren isn't 100% a Sith, nor is he 100% a Knight of Ren. I mean, at least that's what I've read up on. But, don't get me wrong, different sites have different,
One thing I do know is that they didn't give them enough attention to detail.
No.
In 7 or 8.
Speaking of 7 that we're talking about, we're still talking about Force Awakens. The scene where Kylo Ren finally battles Rey. Whoever wants to go first. What did you guys think? I know you're supposed to make him look like he's not quite the Jedi Master, but do you guys think they made him look too weak against Rey? Being, this big, powerful, angry, man-like character, and then just at the end he kind of gets his shit fucked up by.
I don't think so. I think that is probably my favorite scene of the film, Kylo versus Finn and then Rey.
I think it's more with her. I
Yeah,
think it's
no.
more showing how natural she is to it and how much she doesn't understand even about herself.
I think it's the idea that they're setting up of like she could be more powerful than him.
Also, I want to say Kylo Ren probably has great training and would be good against any other person. I think it's the fact that he has so much hatred that there's somebody out there that could be better than him that he loses all sense of concentration
yeah.
and just goes berserk, and that's why you kind of see him.
And you do kind of have to have concentration when you're dealing with your own force powers. So I mean, he could, because I mean, you like you mentioned earlier, one with Johnny with Qui-Gon, you've got to have, you know, he was the calm and all that, and he had supposedly the colors of the lightsabers determine something, but I don't think that's fully canon anymore.
There's a lot behind that. You can go on for hours with that.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, you know, that's supposed to be the more calm, mindful, wise.
The green.
Yeah, the green lightsaber guys. I mean, you know, you've got, for instance, Yoda. I mean, himself, Qui-Gon. So many different guys that use it. But
well, I mean, like, you know, Craig, and we don't have to go in detail about the colors, but I mean, if you kind of pay attention to the titles. Force Awakens is yellow, Last Jedi is red, and then Rise of Skywalker is blue. So I don't know if that kind of
also,
leads into anything.
In Episode 6, Vader, you know, takes... Well, the Stormtroopers take Luke's, you know, lightsaber, and you see Vader holding it and kind of, you know, molding it and just grasping the lightsaber. And he says, you know, I see that you've acquired a new lightsaber. So if the colors are supposed to be kind of a big deal, where did he acquire that green lightsaber? It would have been from Yoda then.
Say that question one more time. I was looking
like Vader in Episode 6 is holding Luke's, you know, lightsaber, and he says, "Oh, I've seen you've acquired a new lightsaber."
Yeah.
Fantasy book, would he have just gotten that from Yoda?
Not really, because a lot of the Padawans, when they're very young, actually went and got their own kyber crystal to build their own lightsaber, because it was a force connection. They had to be connected to the actual kyber crystal and find it themselves, as well as build the lightsaber, so they knew their own tool. With Sith, it's more the fact of that it was kind of...
You get the crystal from killing.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, kind of like more of a forced thing
yeah,
than anything.
But when Luke...
He does get the crystal. He gets the crystal from Yoda's lightsaber, if I'm not mistaken, and he puts it into his own lightsaber that he makes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was about to say, it's kind of a... It's much out there.
When Luke's going on, when the whole Luke, you know, when Luke's in his prime, if you will, during Empire and Last Jedi, or Return of the Jedi... There's nobody around him. Like, he has nobody. It's him and Yoda. Everybody else is gone. Everybody else is dead. Like, you know. It would have been... I think it would have been funny to call Return of the Jedi The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And call The Last Jedi Return of the Jedi.
Because, I guess they're trying to make it to where the Jedi aren't as prevalent in the story anymore. And I don't know if that's, you know, last...
I don't know if anybody has been... Anybody out there who's been, you know, been listening and keeping a track, we did our entire. If you want to talk about it on air, go ahead and talk about it on air. You talk about the crystals?
Yeah, I was just
bring it up.
Zach was saying that the crystals kind of, like, each episode so far has had its own color crystal, and it just kind of reading what yellow is. It's intrigue and pursuit. What's Rey going after? She's intrigued about what's on the other side of, you know, that whole spectrum of
kind of like the purple almost. The purple, like Mace Windu held and was unique to his own. He was balanced between the dark and the light, but he could choose to be a Sith or to be a Jedi. You know,
and then she's pursuing Luke Skywalker, right?
Right. It's just the color of the lightsaber isn't necessarily what she's going to have. But the color, it's showing, for people that know the color of the lightsabers, it's basically telling you what the story is going to be about.
So, looking back at, you know, going all the way back to January, we covered A New Hope in January. And then in May, we went ahead and talked about all things Empire Strikes Back. Craig, you weren't here for the last Return of the Jedi, but Zach, you were. Mm-hmm. Looking back at it and talking to you guys today, I kind of fell out of love with Return of the Jedi.
Mhm.
First off, we talked about, the 40-minute Jabba incident.
Right.
45 minutes of the film. Craig, you don't like Last Jedi. I think Return of the Jedi for me is my Last Jedi. Looking back at it now, it was not as good as I grew up thinking it was.
Well, the reason so many people
Is it the
love
Ewoks? Is it the Ewoks?
It's
Go ahead and say
not
it.
only the Ewoks. It's the Ewoks. It's the 45 minutes on dealing with Jabba.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's the ending to one of the biggest cinematics in that era, and there are so many iconic moments in that film. Me personally, I haven't seen that movie, The Return of the Jedi, that many times. It's still good to me, but it's not.
Maybe we can get you to rewatch it when Disney Plus hits out, and we can talk about it when we talk Last Jedi.
I'm going through everything Star Wars first week immediately.
To me, like, out of the whole, include all the films that have ever been made, just my personal opinion.
Are we going to throw down a vote, or are you going to throw down your favorite to least? I think we should do that today.
Do you want to wait till Ed?
Yeah, well,
okay.
Well, but go ahead and what were you going to bring? Was that what you were about to say?
I just say the worst Star Wars film out of all of them, like the one I cannot stand is Attack of the Clones. I think by far.
I'm pretty sure that's everybody.
But let's also look at it this way: as it is the worst Star Wars film in most people's eyes, to me, it is not as far as let's call it a bad film at all.
No, it still holds its own in story.
Yeah, I don't think Star Wars, the franchise, has a overall bad film as to where maybe you could look at Die Hard and say the fourth one is terrible or the third one is terrible.
Well, the thing is, I think with Star Wars, there's always, because of what you come with Star Wars, whether you believe it's a family drama or whatever it is, everyone's going to have their baggage when it comes to this franchise. And so whether you like Attack of the Clones, whether you hate The Last Jedi, no matter what, everyone's going to come to Star Wars with something different.
So if you want to start off with name your least favorite all the way to your favorite.
Okay. Do you want to do favorite scenes after?
Yeah, after.
Okay.
We'll go ahead.
Okay, so
are we doing the original 9, or are we doing
Solo?
Rogue
We're
One?
ranking all original 9 films, and we're going to go ahead and talk about Solo and Rogue One.
So side projects and main trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay. So probably number 1, Force Awakens, by far my favorite. Number 2, probably the original Star Wars. Number 3, Revenge of the Sith. I think that one is kind of underrated a little bit, just because of
the time it came out.
Exactly. Number 4, Empire Strikes Back. Number 5, I'll do Solo. Number 5 is Solo. What are the other ones?
Phantom Menace. You've
Episode 1,
Attack of the Clones.
Phantom, Rogue
Empire Strikes
One.
Back. Or not Empire. Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Last one would definitely be Attack of the Clones. And then, did I miss any of them? I did Rogue One.
Mine, yeah.
I think I covered all of them, yeah.
Yeah. I would probably put Episode 2 least favorite.
It still has good parts, though.
No.
The gladiator sequence.
Yeah.
It's not complete. I'm gonna go as far as say it's not even shit. Like if I had to pick, it's if I had to rank them, like give them a star rating, I would give Episode 2 a 7. I would give it a 7.
I'd agree with that.
My next one is probably gonna be Episode 3. And then Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And then I would do Solo, Rogue One, Episode 4, Phantom Menace, and then Episode 4, and then Last Jedi, and then Force Awakens, and then Empire Strikes Back.
So you did worst to best.
Yeah. So my top 5 would be Empire, Force Awakens,
Star Wars.
Yeah, Episode 4, Last Jedi,
Christmas Star Wars.
and
Is this with Force Awakens? Is this the first time we ever see Hoth? We see Hoth that is covered in snow and ice. So
yeah,
because
you see Hoth in Episode 5.
Yeah, we never seen a snow or ice covered planet in the prequels, did we? or because they had the water
It
with
was
Camino.
Yeah, theirs was
But-
more of a natural. Like, lava's natural.
Yeah.
You had where Tatooine was. It was natural. It was just dirt. It was
Yeah.
natural.
And then you
ice
had-
is natural, but there was nothing that showed.
That's not the actual just earth or underbearing of it all. That's not the low
It was
levels,
very
I
warm.
guess.
It was
Yeah.
it was a warm feeling. Like there was growth to be had.
Right, because they were actually wanting to show more. This is not hatred. Heat equals hatred, but heat equals
You grow from heat.
yeah,
Plants
growing.
grow,
Yeah,
everything.
and Anakin's hate kept growing over time, and I think it was more towards his worrying. But either way, I was just because I was thinking about that. I was like, do you ever see snow in the other ones? You see snow
I
in
think
this
there
one,
might
but
be
yeah,
one
hot,
place
but-
in the original 3, but I can't. Off the top of my head, the
Or-
closest thing I can think of it is the where all the clones are. It's just rainy and it looks kind
Camino.
of cold. Yeah.
Because honestly, I thought that was a really cool thing. I thought that was kind of a pivotal thing with.
And
the
also
prequels.
for you last to rank them, to make it not as such of a brain teaser, why don't we rank the prequel 3 first, and then you can rank your.
We should have
Okay.
done that.
Well, I have them all in front of me, so I was just.
I mean, I'd go with
So do your prequels.
prequel 3 on me. I would be Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace, then Attack of the Clones.
Classic 3.
Honestly, the love story of Anakin and Padme kind of annoyed me.
What about the classic 3?
Classic 3, I'd probably put 4, 6, 5.
4, 6, 5.
Yeah, and then these currently
So far the new 2?
7, 8.
7 and 8. Craig?
I mean, yeah.
3, 1, 2, 5, 4, 6, 7, 8.
7, 8.
Oh, 5. Oh, you put 5 at first.
5 above.
There you
the
go.
original.
Okay.
Yeah, I just the Hoth scene was pretty good.
Yeah.
I say pretty good. That's being modest.
I mean, don't get me wrong. With those
I
three,
don't-
it's very hard because
It
they've all
is.
got extremely good qualities.
And sometimes
you
they
know.
blend in when you think of the 3.
Yeah.
It's
Because I mean, the main thing that separates all of it is Yoda, Luke getting his hand cut off, and then Darth Vader dying. I
Right.
mean, is the main 3 things that separate those 3 movies with me.
but putting Solo and Rogue One in there.
Personally, I'd put Solo above.
They're both
Rogue
in my
One.
top 6.
But I mean, honestly, if I'm gonna do a top 5 and be base with that, I'm going to do probably 4, 6, 3, 1, 2, and then 4, 6.
So you
3,
like
1,
the New
2,
Hope better than
or
Empire,
1, and then yeah, and just
which you
I
can
like the
listen.
introduction to the characters.
Which you can listen to our thoughts on Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope, all in the archives, which is at Spotify, Podbean, and Anchor. And don't forget, we have the new Support the Cine-Men Movie podcast. All you have to do is click Support this podcast. You have 3 different tiers. You have 99 cents, you have $4.99, and then you have $9.99. You guys can support this podcast. And if you select support for 99 cents, you do get bonus episodes. You also get exclusive Facebook or YouTube live episodes. And then you get different videos uploaded onto Anchor exclusively. If you choose $4.99, there's some stuff that we'll throw in there, like some shirts. We have some Cine-Men Movie Podcast shirts, mugs. And then if you have the $9.99 a month, you will be a sponsor of the show. We'll say thank you to John Doe for sponsoring this show.
Right.
We'll let you pick the movies you want us to talk about. So if you want to pick Pixels, and that's what you want us to talk about, then for $10 a month, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk Pixels. Or if you want, you get the T-shirt, the mug, a magnet, and you get to pick an episode. So that's only exclusively on Anchor, and you select support the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. So guys, this is episode 7. Favorite scenes. We'll go. I'll just shoot mine out right quick. Han's death. And then the very first scene when you get introduced to Kylo Ren. And the scene where he abducts Rey. Zach?
Oh,
I'm gonna do Kylo versus Finn versus Rey. What I call the Daniel Craig Stormtrooper scene. I thought that was cool. And then the opening sequence introducing Kylo. I think the fact that we saw him, we never ever seen a Jedi or a Sith use the Force to stop a blaster, and that was
anybody for that matter.
Right. Totally badass.
Personally, I would say the little scene where Rey and Finn meet each other for the first time in the marketplace on Jakku. The battle between, even the mind battle between Rey and Kylo, let alone the saber duel between Kylo and Rey, and even Finn being thrown in there. I mean, you kind of get a sense of how his mind is, like you said, Craig, with his ego. I think that's a lot of why he's, hitting himself on the side of the ribs where he got hit with the bow blaster from Chewie. He's trying to not show weakness. He's trying to show, look how strong I am. I'll beat on my own.
What was your favorite scene?
The Jakku scene between Rey and Finn, and then this scene currently that we are watching, at least, between Rey, Finn versus Kylo with the saber duel. That and I think it's really cool that a freaking stormtrooper gets to pick up a saber. I mean they take the sabers a couple times, and you get to see General Grievous go with his unique thing, but you don't see really anybody else but a Sith or a Jedi or Grievous really.
Before we get to Craig's favorite scenes, I will say that, and I brought this up to you earlier, that this is the bloodiest you've ever seen a Star Wars film.
Yeah.
The beginning of the movie where there's blood on the Stormtrooper's helmet, and then this scene right here where Kylo drips some blood. You normally don't see any blood in Star Wars movies, but Craig, I mean, man, what about you? If you had to pick some favorite scenes from this movie, I mean.
So I'm gonna go with the opening scene, but not necessarily what Kylo Ren does or anything. Just the opening cinematics and the lighting of the ship's landing and the whole music and theatrical parts.
It's dark.
It's dark, and it immediately just pulls you in, and it's like, get ready for a ride.
Yeah.
It seems different from other Star Wars films.
Right. And another part is when after they meet Maz, and it gets blown up by the First Order and everything, and the X-Wings come in, and they're on the water, and the water is just blowing out from it.
When you get reintroduced to Poe.
And, I mean, it's just like, here they come, they're coming in, and they're just...
They ain't taking shit. They're
just
about to come at you.
The pure CGI and cinematics that J J Abrams used in this movie, like I told you guys, it's not even like the Rey, Kylo Ren, Finn fight. It's the simple things of like the planes flying over the water.
Yeah.
You can really tell this is a J J Abrams film, and that's what I enjoyed about this.
Like the Falcon flying through the ship.
Yeah.
Just simple things like that really caught me in. There are some of those things in The Last Jedi, but I feel like J J Abrams captured it much better.
I will say, and you guys can agree to disagree, do directors like J J Abrams, should they get more recognition than they do when they do movies like this or Star Trek or like Super 8? Super 8 to me felt like a classic
Spielberg
80s Spielberg film.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can tell his inspiration where he takes, different cues to try and do these camera tricks, that camera tricks. You can tell he listens, or at least has picked the mind of the old school, but he's adding a lot of new vision and trying to... Because, I mean, you've got the Spielberg path, you've got the Hitchcock path, you've got all these different paths from years and years ago. And you can tell that he's taking influence from some of the old path and bringing a ton of new in, because he realizes that, along with maybe even, you'd put the Feige brothers in there, there's going to be so much use of computer work in, but at the same time, he's
the Russo brothers?
Or Russo brothers, yeah. I'm sorry, Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers,
It's his use of like animatronics and like real world locations and stuff that make it real.
Yeah.
There's two other things. I know we're running out of time, but there's two other things I wanted to talk about. BB-8, probably one of the best droids in the franchise.
A little bit to me. I do think they were trying to go away from R2D2 and bring in a new thing for these kids, and I don't think it was. It felt more natural
At the
than
time, it
forced.
wasn't a cash grab.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it felt more natural because, like I said, I don't think they were forcing it on there, but they were showing a new generation.
R2D2 was so loved that it almost. I'm sure they felt like they had to put something in there.
Yeah.
Something that could be a companion, especially to Poe Dameron. I mean, we've seen how critical he's become to Poe, like R2 was to Luke.
Yeah, at that
and
time.
Anakin.
Exactly.
Not to mention, we didn't even, and that's why I knew this episode might run just a little long, because there's lovable characters in this movie that we haven't talked about, almost
C-3PO.
like 3PO.
Well, my last thing was going to be Luke, the final scene with Luke.
Right, and then, I mean, we didn't even really get to touch bases with Chewie, where, just earlier this year we lost Peter Mayhew.
Yeah.
And in this movie, you got to see Peter Mayhew, don the costume one more time. I think he did it in episode 8. Not sure. But yeah, that's another thing about this movie is there's so much, that you can that you love from the original 3, and then there's also these brand new characters. And I do like, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of got goosebumps when R2 got turned on at the end of the movie.
Yeah. I think it's going to be almost in a sad way the idea that this is the last time we will see Carrie Fisher. Even though it's footage that was shot for Force Awakens, but this is it. We got to see her. Luckily, we got her in Last Jedi. Well, I'm gonna talk about that Last Jedi, but we get to see her one last time as Princess Leia in Rise of Skywalker.
I was just gonna say the scene with BB-8 where
the thumbs up.
Finn gives him the thumbs up and he flips it out and it's a ladder. I mean, audience loved it. They ate it up. Everybody laughed at it. And
I saw it 3 days after opening day, or that next night, and my theater popped.
Yeah.
Everything that BB-8 did was
it was as natural as you could get with a robotic character.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he fits so well, and not just this movie, but the franchise so far.
I don't know about you guys also, but a big heads up, including everybody out there listening, stay away from certain toy aisles down Targets, Walmarts, because
yeah, I've been avoiding those.
Because I mean, it showed some
everywhere.
movies. Yeah, well, they haven't released any yet. I was at a few toy stores today. But I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to start seeing some stuff that you may not want to see because, I mean, they got to get those sales up on those toys.
Spoilers, yeah.
So you might see a Palpatine figure. You might see something that you don't want to see. So just a heads up, I'd stay away from those toy aisles.
But I mean, with BB-8, it was really cool to see a different invention of a different looking droid, because with R2D2, they had a few different droids that were similar in R4D3 or R4D4 or something like R2D4 or something like that.
Different variations, but the same mechanical style.
Basically, yeah. On top of that, and then out of all the droids, this little droid was the only one to survive. But I mean, I'm more linked C-3PO with Anakin, especially when with the scene in when you first. Not truly introduced to him, but introduced for the first time with C-3PO being turned on by Anakin on Tatooine and all that.
Well, you only see Anakin with 3PO in that first movie. When I think of 3PO, I think of Solo. Yeah. Because of the love-hate relationship. It's almost like an odd couple-like relationship. But, guys, I think it's, this was probably, I did say that this was my favorite year from 2015. But star ratings. Ed, you want to get yours out of the way? What would you give it?
9.5.
Zach?
10 out of 10.
Wow. Craig?
How does somebody that loves Star Wars not give it more than... Come on, you're giving me no room. Just 10 out of 10. I think it was the first film that Disney really... If I want to think right, it's the first film that Disney put out that really was just like, we're here to put out good content and... we're going to keep putting out good content. And I think the way Disney did this movie Disney takes some of the credit because they're the ones that did most of the hiring, and if not all the hiring. But it absolutely blew my expectations out of the water for what I mean, like we like the prequels, but they weren't exactly the greatest.
No.
And this absolutely came out and just blew me out the water.
And it kind of left a bad taste in your mouth with the way the prequels ended. And then, I mean, it did me. But given this movie what it is, I think the MVP of the movie is Kathleen Kennedy. I think all of the credit should go to Kathleen Kennedy and the hiring of J J Abrams. If she doesn't make that move, and I really don't think...
I think these films will be different.
You're stuck with Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know...
Well, Ryan Johnson, I mean, we'll talk about that. In exactly 4 weeks from today, December the 2nd, we're going to do The Last Jedi.
Right.
But me, I mean, yeah, I gave Empire Strikes Back a 10. This is just as good. It's not better, but this is just as good as Empire Strikes Back, and I give it a 10.
Cool.
So...
before we go on to mailbag, we didn't get to talk about the Luke scene at the end.
Wait a minute, we don't have to go. This movie?
Right.
Absolute goosebumps.
We don't have to,
Pick
go
apart.
crazy about it. But like, what do you think when you got to see him for the? I thought it was brilliant to save him for the very end.
Yeah, I thought it set up episode 8 very well for success. Obviously, might be a different story, but just him.
He dropped the ball. He dropped the ball kind of like Baker Mayfield did.
You knew that it was coming. I mean, the whole thing with the map leading to Skywalker, they get the map, they're going for it. And, I mean, she goes and she meets them, but just seeing them for the first time, Luke is the last... Luke is one of the main characters. He knows the Force, he wielded a lightsaber, and they put so much thought into finding him. And you finally see Rey with him, and it just left so
many questions,
hope, questions, and everything.
I would almost argue the whole scene. I talked to you about it earlier, Craig, that the way Infinity War should have ended was right when Thor chopped into his shoulder, and then he snapped his fingers, and boom! I thought it should have ended just like that. With Force Awakens, right when she leaves on the Millennium Falcon, and she gets off the Falcon and steps onto that green Ireland land, I think it should have ended, and I don't think you should have seen Luke Skywalker until Episode 8. That's just my opinion, and I feel like it would have left a better taste in your mouth for Episode 8. Because you said it yourself, this ending was awesome. It it set you up for success for Episode 8, but did it leave you with so much expectation that you just... Like you said, at the beginning of 8, when he tosses the lightsaber, your expectations automatically went to shit.
Yeah, well, I would agree with you now. It would have... Doing the entire scene that they did without showing Luke, but seeing her face see Luke, that would have left you with even more like, is it actually Luke? Is it...
There you go. Yeah, you could have
dismembered.
You could have ended this movie with her getting up there. She sees somebody, and then she has that look on her face, and then the movie ends. Yeah,
that probably would have been the best thing, because you're not sitting there like, oh well, she sees Luke, she's gonna get trained, she's gonna be the biggest, baddest.
Because for an entire 2 years, you're thinking, okay, she's right there with Luke. She's about to become the shit.
She's gonna get trained. Yeah. The whole movie led up into finding Luke, and they were, and it just it didn't go that way.
I mean, they did set the bar very, very high with the Force Awakens. So, I mean, I think most of the thing with everybody kind of having a bad taste in their mouth with The Last Jedi, I think is kind of the Force Awakens' fault, to be honest. Just because, I mean, you set the bar at like 10 foot, and then you go ahead and vault at 7 foot. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're going to look at, this guy sucks. Come on now. It's a good movie.
But there's plenty different questions that we'll talk about when we do talk all things The Force Awakens or
The Last Jedi.
We're
going to do The Force Awakens again.
Yeah, I mean it's good enough. But guys, we're going to go ahead and get into a portion of the mailbag, and we'll talk some mailbag questions. We'll also talk future episode. So this week, I'll go ahead and just start shoot. Craig, even though you weren't on some of these last episodes, if you have an opinion, go ahead and chip in. Cody wants to know, hey guys, want to know with the last two, with last week's episode being about Halloween 2, what is your favorite from the franchise? Mine personally is the Halloween 2018 version.
I would have to say the original Halloween. The 1970, yeah,
1978. Mine too.
Yeah.
Zach?
Cody, I'm going to agree with you. The Halloween from 2018.
Craig? You got a favorite Halloween movie? It doesn't have to be Michael Myers. Any kind of Halloween movie?
No, I'm gonna stay with what you guys are saying. 2018 was really good, but you can't beat the original.
I was about to say, it's like right underneath. Yeah.
You know what? I actually didn't get to talk about this last week, but I rewatched the 2018 version. I talked to you about it, Ed. I just couldn't. Again, it's the third or fourth time that I've watched it since it came out, and I couldn't do it. I think it might have been because I think it's the love obsession that the Doctor had at the end with Michael. I didn't dig that at all.
It was a little throwing off.
John 97 wants to know, would you ever do a franchise versus franchise episode, like compare Star Wars to Star Trek, or maybe the MCU to another franchise out there?
Marvel, DC, or whatever. I mean, I do think we could do that. It could get really hot and heavy, though, but not even just with us.
You want it to be hot and heavy.
Hey, but not just with us, but with a lot of different viewing audiences.
To make things simple, I think it would be fun to do, especially now that, Rise of Skywalker comes out, it would be fun to do an original, or not original, but the new 3 J J Abrams Star Trek against the new 3 Star Wars movies.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah.
Because
there'd be a lot of similarities with directors, but also you're looking with it being the same director for 2 of the 3 Star Wars and Star Trek, you're able to get very similar visuals from the same director, all while getting very different storylines.
And I know it's not J J Abrams' fault, but The Last Jedi gets kind of crapped on a lot. So I don't think J J Abrams, or even Star Trek Beyond, which is not directed by Abrams, I don't think those 3 Star Trek movies have a Last Jedi, if that makes any sense.
I will say, I've got to do a little more respect to The Force Awakens, because it actually, we're on the credits now of our kind of just behind
and the
us
background
watch. Yeah, background watch. They do actually, okay, Disney bought it from
Lucas.
George Lucas, thank you. Harrison Ford is what I was going to say. They bought it from George Lucas, and they actually make note of it based on characters created by George Lucas.
Well, legally they have to do that.
Oh, okay.
They do.
Yeah. Okay. I was about to say.
It's for licensing issue because they didn't create those characters. George Lucas did.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
you may have the rights, but you didn't create it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Lucas would be, hey.
I'm going to get my money back.
Dude.
Anonymous wants to know, favorite Star Wars toy growing up, if you had any favorite Star Wars toys.
Oh, man. I had that, the little communicator that you could put the chip onto them. I had that, and I had like 6 to 8 chips that I had
the little,
do. But there was a specific Anakin from the Attack of the Clone Wars that had the cloak, yeah. And then there was the Obi-Wan from Phantom Menace that I had. Those 2 I loved. Probably
mine would be the little 6-inch Darth Vader that you could take his helmet off, and it would be the old wrinkly white guy, and his hand came off, so you could cut off his little hand.
Kill him
I still have tons of Star Wars toys in boxes currently, even back from those. Juan, you gave me, or Johnny, you actually gave me your dad's X-Wing.
Oh yeah.
Because you knew that I would take care of it, and so it's in my room. It's with all my other collection.
It's got R2-D2 right there on top.
And I would say I still consider it a toy, but Star Wars: The Clone Wars on the GameCube was kind of the first time you could be multiple Jedi in like a arena wave style thing, kind of just like the Clone Wars.
Battlefront from PS2 was my hands down favorite Star Wars game. I loved that. It was kind of like it was my Call of Duty bait. I never really was into Call of Duty, but that one was one that I was hardcore into.
I mean, even with offline play, you would play it hours on end. Yep. And I remember my brother actually, when he tore his ACL and he had surgery and had to do rehab and everything, he got to stay home from school, and he took the PlayStation over to my grandma's house, and I would go over there and be like, all right, you've had it all day, my turn.
Uh-huh.
Mine, if you were going out in games, I would probably talk about the X-Wing game from Nintendo 64. That game was pretty fun. Zach?
Oh, shit. Everyone took everything.
Pod Racer game is still out there.
Pod Racer, I still have that.
That one was not. And I mean, if you go into, used to go into Walmart, they used to have that you'd get.
They always had that game on sale.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any Star Wars toys, but I would say that Battlefront on the Xbox. I played that like constantly.
But the arcade style pod racer game with the two
handles.
That if you hit one way, it would just hardcore turn you to the right or the left or whatever. That one was still cool.
Yeah, that arcade style pod racer was next level.
It was hard to get used to at first too, because literally you'd be just the crappiest driver your first time, and it was just like, oh my god, how do I control? And then you got used to it, and it was just
If I could own any arcade style video game, pod racer arcade style would be the absolute first choice I would buy.
Oh yeah.
Sam69 wants to say hello again. In last week's episode, you guys talked and said Michael was more innovative in Halloween 2 with the scalpel and the needle. Seeing the not really a teaser trailer, but seeing the teaser that Jamie Lee Curtis let out earlier this week, how would you say he would be portrayed in Halloween Kills? I mean, you got to see Tommy Doyle as, some of the older character. If anything, I would think, I don't really care if he's more innovative because he's older. So I would just say I want to see more. I want to see more 80s style slashing.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Halloween 2018 introduced a few new some kind of very, very serious, not truly straight ahead kills, but some kills that were kind of funny. Especially the kid, man. I would love to see that kid come back. Oh man, but you can tell the differences in styles he uses, but I mean, yeah.
Zach?
Yeah, I would agree with you, Johnny. I think it would be cool to kind of go back to the basics and do like 80s slasher, like what he did in the original.
Gonna go off you guys. Classic Michael. I mean, that's what made him who he was. That's what everybody cares about. So why not go back to it?
The staple.
Joey wants to know, what was your biggest issue with the prequels, and do you have a favorite of the prequels? My biggest issue would probably be that there wasn't enough action or Jedi action in Episode 2. And then if I had to pick a favorite, it would be Episode 1.
Episode 1 favorite, I would just have to say I do understand the reason that they did the whole love scene, or not the love scene, but the love story between Anakin and Padme. But to me, especially as a kid, I guess I think it was more that because I was maybe 12, 13 at that time.
Looking back at it, I'm like, they probably should have just had a small scene where they fucked.
Well, but I just I just got annoyed as hell with
PG-13 kind at least.
I just got annoyed as hell with it because it was just, to me, overdone. I mean, personally, that's just my thought. But yeah, definitely 1 is my personal favorite.
Zach, you got a favorite of the prequels?
Yeah, mine is Revenge of the Sith. I think there's not really one per problem of the prequels. I think there's just a variety of different things, but we won't get into it. I think my problem is just like Hayden Christensen. I just don't think he's a good actor. I think he does better in Revenge of the Sith instead of Attack of the Clones, but I mean,
Well, going back to Hayden Christensen, George Lucas actually said that he
preferred.
Technically, he didn't pick him on his acting skills. He said that he just had the visual of what he wanted.
Yeah.
I would say Episode 1 had more of my favorite scenes. Definitely the duel with Darth Maul is just iconic.
Yeah.
And the song to go with
that
it.
First one in the sand.
Yeah, even that one. But the song, the Duel of the Fates, and the whole fight down the hallway was good. The pod race was incredible.
Yeah.
But I would have to go with Zach. Episode 3 is my favorite.
I would say that the duel between him and Darth Tyrannus was pretty damn cool. Especially when Anakin cut the power to the lights or whatever you want to call it. I thought that was really cool just to see, the 90% of the light now is the lightsabers or the reflection off or the glow off the lightsabers. So I thought that was that I thought was one of the biggest things of saving 2 was that, and then the actual fight between the clones and the Separatist army or.
Next one is from Mike. This one is for Juan, or you all can answer if you have a favorite. You ranted about the home anniversary release of Hocus Pocus last week or 2 weeks ago. I completely agree with you, My real question is, what is your favorite re-release of a movie on whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, or VHS? Yeah, Disney fucked everybody on Hocus Pocus release. But honestly, my favorite re-release would probably be, I don't have it anymore, but they released a big white box set of the Dark Knight movies, and each movie had like a little figure of each movie. Like the Batmobile was in there, the plane that he used in Dark Knight Rises. That would probably be one of my favorite box sets or re-releases of all time. Would be the Dark Knight trilogy. Zach, do you have one?
Yeah, I kind of have two, but probably the main one would be the one I got for Christmas. This has been a while ago, probably 2007, 2008. Was they re-released Casablanca in a big box set,
Like the Wizard of Oz one.
Not even that one. It was like more of a smaller one, and it had like posters and all kinds of stuff. I don't have the box set of this one, but what they did with the re-release of the Iron Giant, I thought was really good.
Craig, do you have one? Maybe one of the favorite Blu-rays you might own that's a release?
I had it, and I sold it because I wanted the digital versions of it, so I'm on the hunt for it again. Toy Story box set, where it is Andy's toy box, the one where Woody kind of pops up and he's like, "Hi, I'm Woody. How do you?" It's that, and it has DVD, Blu-ray, and special scenes of Toy Story, which is my all-time favorite.
Ed, do you have a favorite home release?
I know this is probably going to be like, seriously, what the fuck? But Clerks, when they did the 10-year reunion, Clerks X.
Oh yeah, they had like a little comic book in there and stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Plus the little extras they gave you on the DVD and all that. So,
I'm not. There's 2 or 3 in here about Criterion episodes. They really want us to talk Criterion. Just a heads up. Erica98 wants to say, I'm probably the only one, but I completely hated the 2 new Star Wars films. They just seem like a repeat of the original 3. I hope number 3, which is 9, is completely more original. So Erica98 completely hated The Force Awakens, and
there's a formula to movies, and the original 3 created the formula. The prequels used the formula. I mean, you create a storyline with the main character, Anakin, Luke, Rey. You create her. You surround her with support characters, Han, Leia, Finn, Obi-Wan, who technically shouldn't be a support character, but in the prequels he was. C-3PO, R2-D2, and you have a formula. So of course it's going to feel repetitive, but in the end, they're creating one giant story, which is in turn the Skywalker saga.
Almost like the Jurassic Park movies, you're going to have somebody who thinks they shouldn't be living, somebody who thinks they should be, and then somebody who just wants to make money off of the dinosaurs. So in that example, we'll go ahead and move on, each to their own, but there's a formula for each franchise. Jose wants to say, more horror, please. If there's another horror movie that you guys could talk about off the top of your head, which one would it be? Mine would be Night of the Living Dead. Zach?
Go ahead, Ed. Do you have one?
I've got 2. Personally, I'd not mind doing the Insidious movies, but on top of that, I would like The Exorcist. Still, I mean, that's probably one of my top all-time favorite horror flicks, just because as in Paranormal, you can't really top that. Paranormal Possession, whatever, you can't top that.
Zach, why you think about that? Craig, you had
I got one. Okay. Either The Ring, the original Ring, or I know this is not really a horror film, but Cloverfield. Either Cloverfield or 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Another one off the top of my head, just because they're having a reboot in January, is The Grudge, whether it be the Sarah Michelle Gellar or the original Japanese version.
I always thought that was a little odd that they're rebooting it, but I mean, I can't wait. That
one looks like they're going all out for that.
Freaky imagery. And
Craig, you laughed about Insidious. I think I know what story you're on.
I think we waited until it came out on Blu-ray or DVD at the time. I was at Johnny's house actually, so this was 7-8 years ago. I was a junior in high school.
Oh my gosh!
So it's been about 7-8 years. 2012, 2011, yeah. So we're watching the movie, and I laugh at the movie now, being able to see everything, but we're sitting on his couch, and I have a pillow in my chest, and the part where he like peeks around the corner and you finally see his face.
Oh yeah, the
I'm
red
just
and
like,
black demon.
pillow over the eyes, and then I pulled it down and I was like, okay, that was.
It doesn't help any that I had all the lights turned off too.
You've always done that since we were like freaking 10. This dude, oh my god.
So
you got to get your money's worth, man. That you have to get scared.
I know you guys did Saw a while back, a couple weeks ago. We watched as good as we could. They were scratched to hell. But we watched like 1 through 6 on Saw, and I mean it wasn't that bad watching it then. But
we had to fast forward a lot because the DVDs were so scratched; it was just skipping.
But like when you guys were watching it before you did the podcast about it, I was like, okay, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. So Insidious, I laugh at it now because it's so cheesy. Saw, I still cringe because it's
with the demon in Insidious. Did you get
Darth Maul?
Yeah, a lot of Darth Maul inspiration because I was just like. When you see him full out, I think he had his wings or arms or whatever spread. I was just like, holy shit, this is like 80% Darth Maul. Like, that's all I seen.
It's actually a really good movie, the first one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. This, I mean, honestly, maybe even... oh, crap. I forget the one where the demon comes through the...
It's number 3.
Computers.
Oh my god.
And the
Pulse?
tapes. No, it's one of the
White Noise?
No, it's one of the it's the demon with the long black hair that it's got
comes out of the TV?
Scratching behind.
Oh,
like,
Sinister.
Yes, Sinister.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
another one I'd like. That's one I'd like to cover personally.
Yeah.
But I was gonna go with Zach. The Ring is I can't stand it. It's so simple that it's bad. Just the imagery and everything.
A lot of Japanese stuff is really either freaky, weird, or just all out just horrifying.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
There's tons more emails. I'm gonna go through one more, then we'll call it a show. Love listening on my drive to work. This is from Cheyenne86. Love listening on my way to work every morning. I'd love more episodes about like newer movies that comes out on the Red Box. I guess she needs help picking out stuff at the Red Box.
Hey, no,
So-
definitely understand that. We try and mix it all because we try and do movies that are kind of either downed on or older and just want an opinion out there, or we don't want to specifically get into they're just new movie guys. Are you serious? Kind of deal.
Well, if I had to pick one off the top of my head, Red Box. Check out The Lion King.
Yeah.
That movie's hit the Red Box. Also. Zach, I made you watch it. The Art of Self-Defense. That should be on the Red Box, so check that out. Anybody else want something brand new that they might have seen that hit?
Ed, I know you weren't a fan of the film per se, but I'm gonna say Crawl. I mean, I really, really enjoy Crawl.
I just thought it was a little like
I think the kill should have been more graphic. Yeah, I would
I think
agree.
the expectations were so high for me.
Yeah, basically, and I thought it was going to be a lot more fast paced than that's the only thing I had.
Kind of like The Shallows.
Yeah, I really like The Shallows too.
Dude, don't get me started.
Oh god. Uh-oh.
Um,
the 4.
I would say Crawl, and then not tomorrow, but next Tuesday, the Peanut Butter Falcon should probably hit Redbox.
Yeah, go check that out.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, I think we'll call it a day on the emails. Does anybody else have anything to put towards The Force Awakens?
Top 3 characters in all of Star Wars.
Top 3. That's
top
a good one.
That's
3.
good. That's really good.
Okay.
So it could, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, Vader, Luke," but I mean, there's a lot of just subtle characters in there, like Darth Maul.
I mean, I'll start off. Vader, I'm gonna put number 1. Number 2, it is kind of hard to do, but I'll go ahead and put Maul there, just because I honestly do think he got way too little screen time, way too little time in the whole universe, and maybe they'll bring him back some other time in another movie. I hope so. But personally, my favorite Jedi has always been Obi-Wan Kenobi since they introduced him in Phantom. Well, I'm sorry, since I was introduced to him in Phantom Menace, because after that is when I gone ahead and watched the original trilogies and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's my top 3.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Johnny.
Off the top of my head, Han Solo's number 1. Yeah, Han Solo's number 1. Vader would be number 3, and Yoda's at 2.
I'm probably gonna get some controversy about this. I'm gonna do Rey as number 1. I think she was just a breath of fresh air she's a breath of fresh air for the franchise, I think. Rey, number 2, Obi-Wan, and then number 3, honestly, probably BB-8. So.
I mean, honestly, with my list,
bring on the emails.
2 and 3 for me, Obi-Wan and Darth Maul can be switched easily. I mean, don't get me wrong, just because that whole fight in Revenge of the Sith between Anakin and Obi-Wan, I was rooting for Obi-Wan the whole time. I was like, yeah, because I knew it was gonna happen, but I mean, still.
So number 1, I'm gonna go Darth Maul. Just iconic. Number 2, I'm gonna go General Grievous. I felt like he had a very good role in number 2. He was one of the bright spots of number 2.
Yeah.
Number 3, I'm gonna go Chewbacca.
Chewbacca. That's a good one. Yeah, Chewbacca. So. Well, I think. Anybody else have anything else towards Star Wars, or we'll talk Star Wars in a month with The Last Jedi, and we're on our way to The Rise of Skywalker.
Craig, I can't wait to listen to you about Last Jedi. I cannot wait.
We may not have enough time.
It'll be a 50-50 thing, probably.
So, if you guys don't have anything else, Craig? No?
This is Edward saying I'll see you on the silver screen.
This is Zach signing out.
And we'll go ahead and talk to you guys next Monday as we talk Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street next week. So join us for that, and we will talk to you next week. We were running a little over on time, guys. There's tons of emails. Go ahead and send us some more emails at Cine-Men, Cinemen 921 at gmail.com. You can also find us on the Facebook page at facebook.com/movie reels 405 REELZ, or just Cine-Men Movie Podcast. So
could we do like a 30-minute fan thing? Like, I mean, I know Ed can stop by some days. I can stop by pretty much any day of the week. We could do like a 30-minute, 15-minute fan thing and do like little clips, because I'm sure people
want more content.
Want more content, and you don't always want to be able to, I mean, this episode was probably what, two hours long?
Yeah, it's approaching 2.5 hours, and I mean, to be honest with you guys, we're gonna go ahead and put a pause right now. I was gonna end it, but just to be real, we'll go ahead and throw this on air. There's a lot of people wanting more content from us. We, everybody out there enjoys us arguing about The Lion King. Everybody enjoys us arguing about Batman Returns or DC. Every week we have a DC plug. Go see Joker, by the way. There's also all kinds of stuff that people want, whether it's new movies, old movies. Back in the day, me and Ed would throw out like 30-minute extra bonus episodes and just have 30 minutes of extra talk. So on the road to Star Wars, I would not complain about doing like a bonus episode about Rogue One, or doing a bonus episode and just talking about Solo Story.
I mean, the only thing I put this out there either last week or 2 weeks ago, that the only reason we don't do a ton more, because I mean, if me and you had off a lot, I mean, if this was our only thing, yeah, even same schedules, we'd probably do 2-3 episodes and just flush them out throughout the week or so.
I mean, we could probably even be on Twitch doing live streams, on a set schedule, but the way our schedules are, it's just so different that
we had an email a few weeks ago about people were wanting to know if we can, have 2 or 3 episodes a week. They just enjoy hearing what we have to talk about, and some people may not want a 2.5 hour episode. So I will say that our bonus episodes that we do every month that are 45 minutes to an hour, Zach, our Joker episode is still almost at 450.
Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a couple parents in this room. There's at least 3 people that are married. There's, all 4 of us have jobs ourselves. Mm-hmm. I personally have 2 jobs. So, I mean, that's the main thing is, I mean, with me at least personally, is I do want to spend time with my wife. I love using our equipment. We've gotten such new equipment now that I love putting up. I love speaking into this, using these headphones and, hearing the different stuff we have and, playing with it. I love this stuff. I love being around these 3 guys. It's just mainly the schedule thing, life. That's all it is. If this was my job, I'd be here at least 10 to 12 hours a freaking day, easy.
That's the goal.
Maybe like Thanksgiving week, or, a week where I have a day off, you have a day off. Everybody kind of has a similar day off. we could come in and just do like a 30-minute episode, or even I stop by after work and it's
Well,
just me and Johnny.
The background subject and what I'm trying to get in the works for maybe early of next year on Sundays. I'm available as well as maybe sometimes you two, and then on Mondays he's available all day. So there in itself, there's 3 episodes a week, or maybe some bonus talk about the prequels, or something down the line.
And I mean, I could come in through and record something with you before I go into work every now and then too. I wouldn't mind that.
Well, me and Johnny were talking about it when we went and saw the movies. I was like, we are wanting to see Dr. Sleep. I think we're gonna check it out that Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and if you guys want, maybe we could do an episode about it.
Yeah,
like a 30-minute episode or something. So.
All right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm up to do as many. I mean, it's just time allotment. If there was 50 hours in one day, I'd love to do something like that. I mean, that'd be cool. But yeah, that's the only thing that keeps us from creating way more content, video, and all that stuff is just that. That's it. And that's mainly to answer that question.
Yeah.
I love doing this stuff. It's time. I mean, one of the highlights of my week.
Yeah.
For activities I do at least.
Just throwing this in, if you guys want to hear some sort of sports talk, me and Johnny are all about sports. Ed's into sports. I don't know about Zach. No, not much.
I'm in the middle.
But I mean, we could throw together a sports episode and go on for days about sports.
Easily.
I mean, even just events that have happened in the last week. So if you guys want something about sports, hit us up, let us know, and we could try to get something going.
I mean, I'm more just football, but yeah.
You guys could even listen. Once upon a time, we had 2 sports episodes last November, the Tuesday morning Audible. So if you guys want to check that out, it's on Podbean, Spotify, YouTube. Just check it out. We had 2 episodes only. Didn't get picked up, didn't get sponsored, but it is what it is.
I mean, I'd love to resurrect that. I'd be cool with that because, I mean, hey, Broncos, we finally got a 3rd win. Look at that.
Stop it.
I know. I'm happy with my team, okay?
And Cowboys are playing right now, so that's what I'm about to do. So, you guys can check us out next week. The Wolf of Wall Street, Martin Scorsese. It's the movie that I swear is the movie Leo should have won to win Best Picture. And I really think that... that
was directed towards me. We're going to have a discussion about that.
No, that was directed towards that score. Cowboys need to pick it up. Check us out next week, Wolf of Wall Street. Until then, thank you guys for listening. This is Johnny, and thanks for listening to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.